Chapter 146. Iron Bone is going to the Haochi Sect the day after tomorrow to spar. This is big news. There hasn't been any news recently. I thought Sect leader Jun was scared. I didn't expect him to really dare to go. Alliance leader Qin's sect is a sixth-rate sect. Isn't he afraid that he will be beaten badly if he brings his disciples to challenge them? Because of the deliberate spread of the Drizzle Hall's members, the martial artists in the 8 cities of Qingyang County knew that Iron Bone was challenging the Haochi sect in a short period of time. How boring it was to cultivate martial arts on a daily basis. Now that there was a sudden commotion, they would definitely discuss it. However, many people believed that the Haochi sect was stronger in terms of strength. Iron Bone was obviously overestimating himself by challenging them. Go to the Spirit Spring Mountain to understand? There was no need to understand. In the eyes of many martial artists, the Sacred Spring sect only sent an ordinary inner disciple. Li Qingyang won only because of his spiritual martial arts. Indeed. They couldn't assume that Iron Bone was qualified to be on par with a fifth-rate sect just because of the victory and defeat of a disciple. Moreover, since they were going to spar, they would definitely send many disciples. Iron Bone relied on Li Qingyang alone to shake a sixth-rate sect. It was undoubtedly a fantasy. Just as everyone was discussing the challenge the day after tomorrow, another piece of news spread. Not long ago, the Nebula sect challenged Iron Bone. In the end, all 5 disciples were defeated. Elder Song also lost to sect leader Jun. When did this happen? Why haven't I heard about it? It seems like a month ago. Someone has already confirmed that Elder Song of the Nebula sect did appear at the Iron Bone Mountain with his disciples. Oh my god, is Iron Bone so awesome? They beat a 7th-rate sect 6-0. The news of the Nebula sect challenging Iron Bone spread only now because the former deliberately blocked the news after their defeat. After all, they couldn't afford to lose face. If the winner was the Nebula sect, the news would have spread for a month and made the martial artists in the cities laugh at them. Jun Changshao also realized that the outside world didn't have any news at all. Therefore, he spread the news to embarrass the Nebula sect and build momentum for himself. Needless to say, the effect was pretty good. Knowing that Nebula sect had been defeated by a score of 6-0, many of the martial artists who were initially optimistic about Vaschi sect began to lean towards Iron Bone sect. It seems that Li Qingyang is not the only powerful disciple of the Iron Bone sect. Since sect leader Jun dared to challenge the vast spirit sect, he must have come prepared. It doesn't matter who is strong or weak, as long as the fight is intense. The majority of martial artists were purely here for the liveliness. As long as there was an exciting battle, they didn't really care who won or lost. The AI family. AI Shang also received the news that Iron Bone was going to the Haochi sect to spar. He was sitting in the main hall, deep in thought. Patriarch. AI Shangfang said, sect leader Jun is going to challenge the Vaschi sect. He's going to stir up trouble. AI Shangku said solemnly, Haochi sect is the headquarters of the 100 Sect Alliance. When the time comes, many of the member sects will go as well. Sect Master Jun will definitely be targeted if he goes up the mountain. The news of Iron Bone falling out with the 100 Sect Alliance had spread throughout the Azure Sun County. Even an idiot would know that if Jun Changshao were to bring his disciple to challenge the Vaschi sect, he would definitely be targeted everywhere. AI Shangku thought for a while and said seriously, our AI family didn't show up at the Spirit Spring Mountain. This time, we must support sect leader Jun. About the auction? Postpone it. Patriarch AI said domineeringly. AI Shangfang and AI Shangku didn't have any objections. They didn't go to the Spirit Spring Mountain because of the Sacred Spring sect. If they didn't show up this time, it would be a little unreasonable. The fact that the AI family was willing to go to the Vaschi sect to support Iron Bone meant that Jun Changshao was a very important partner. Similarly, the Azure Sun City Lord, Xie Guanquan, was also planning to support sect leader Jun. At this moment, he had already started to arrange things to make enough time for the day after tomorrow. The Sacred Springs Sect was a little afraid, but your Vastchi Sect is in the Azure Sun County. This city lord has nothing to be afraid of. Kid. This is going to be a fierce battle. If you lose, you'll be bankrupt. If you win, you'll be famous. But don't worry, don't be afraid. The 3.6 million citizens of the Azure Sun City are Ironbone's strong backing. The Vastchi Sect was located in the east of the Azure Sun County, in a beautiful mountain range. Although the challenge would start the day after tomorrow, various clans, sects, and rogue cultivators had already rushed here in advance. The next day, Jun Changshao changed into a clean sect leader's uniform and tied his wrists to his sleeves. Then, he swung his tied-up black hair and walked out of the study. In the small martial arts field of the inner court, nearly 200 disciples had their hands behind their backs and stood in neat rows with their backs straight. Everyone had a proud look on their faces. Today, the sect leader brought 7 senior brothers to the Vastchi sect to spar. Although they couldn't go, they had to show their most energetic temperament and send them off. Li Qingyang and the other inner court disciples stood at the front. After a night of rest, they were in a very good state. Sect leader. When Jun Changshao appeared in their field of vision, all the disciples shouted in unison. In the past few months, their cultivation had increased tremendously. Apart from the recent newcomers, the rest had all become martial disciples. When they shouted loudly, their momentum was like a rainbow. Isn't it just going to cause trouble? Why are you so serious? Jun Changshao waved his hand and said, "Relax, relax." Everyone relaxed, but they still stood straight. Jun Changshao didn't say anything to boost their morale. In his opinion, the Vastchi sect was just a small monster on the way to challenging the big boss. Those passionate and hot-blooded words were better left for when they went to the Sacred Spring Mountain. Sect leader Zhou Hong said, "I want to go too." "You don't want to practice the sword anymore?" Jun Changshao asked. Zhou Hong said, "Practicing the sword only improves the sword intent. A sword cultivator needs more experience. You can come along." Jun Changshao said, "But you won't spar." "Okay." Zhou Hong nodded. Sect leader, senior and junior brothers, it's time to eat. In the temporary canteen of the inner sect, Lu Wancher waved her spoon and shouted loudly. Knowing that the sect leader and senior brothers were going to cause trouble at the Vastchi sect, Sheikh, Ma Yongning, and 1 Black and 2 Black got busy early in the morning to prepare a table full of delicious food. After eating the food, Jun Changshao brought the 8 disciples and went on their way. Li Luoqiu stayed in the sect to take care of the affairs. She didn't go with them, but she sent out 10 gold-ranked assassins to follow the sect leader in the dark. To have the protection of professional assassins when going out, this was awesome. Vastchi sect. In the Grand Hall, Qin Haoran put the letter of challenge he just received on the table and sneered, "Jun Changshao, I was worried that you wouldn't dare to come." Next to him, the members of the 100 Sect Alliance who received the news in advance gathered together. Their gazes were full of contempt. That Jun Changshao thinks he's invincible after defeating an inner sect disciple of the Sacred Spring sect? He dares to challenge Alliance leader Qin. Longblade sect leader said coldly. This brother's face was still a bit pale. It seemed that his injuries after being beaten by Jun Changshao on the platform of grievances had not completely healed. "We came here in advance to cheer for Alliance leader Qin." The patriarch of the Tiger's Hall School sneered, "When that brat comes tomorrow, he will definitely be scared to death." The momentum was indeed frightening because there were more than 50 sects who came to cheer for the Vastchi sect. If they all came together tomorrow, it would definitely be an earth-shattering momentum. Someone said worriedly, "That Jun Changshao has a sharp tongue. When he comes, don't talk to him. Just use your momentum to pressure him." Everyone nodded in agreement. After all, the scene of Situ Wang vomiting blood was still fresh in everyone's mind. Jun Changshao. Qin Haoran rubbed his fingers and sneered, "As long as he comes to my Vastchi sect tomorrow, he will leave with his tail between his legs like a dog in front of countless people." Achoo! On the way, Jun Changshao sneezed and rubbed his nose. There must be a lot of people secretly talking bad about me. Chapter 147. 29th, suitable for traveling and dismantling. Avoid opening markets and meeting friends and family. On this day, the sky was clear and the wind was blowing. Jun Changshao, who had rested in the wilderness for the night, brought his 8 disciples to the foot of Haoqi Sect. In front of them was a stone staircase with 10,000 steps. Halfway up the mountain, there was a faint morning mist, giving a feeling of immortality. Wow! Li Fei opened his mouth and said, "How imposing." Jun Changshao took out his historical records and hit him on the forehead. "Look at you, you're so useless." Li Fei covered his head with his hands and chuckled. Su Xiaoma clenched his fist and said excitedly, "Just thinking about beating up the disciples of the big sects, my blood feels like it's going to burn." Li Qingyang calmly said, "Sect Master, I'm afraid that the people from the 100 Sect Alliance have already arrived. If we go up, we'll definitely be targeted." Jun Changshao said, "Last time, I made them vomit blood. If they're smart, they definitely won't speak so quickly. Let's go." While speaking, he led his disciples up the stone staircase. Our Night Emperor tragically carried the magically modified sound system. The 10 gold-ranked assassins in the dark also followed, but the sect master ordered them to hide in the dark, not planning to go up. When they reached halfway up the mountain, there was a smooth boulder on the left. On it, the words Haoqi Sect were carved in bold red. The person who carved these words must be Haoqi Sect Master, but Alliance Master Qin. Jun Changshao shook his head, his eyes full of disdain. To be honest, he quite admired the name Haoqi Sect and didn't want to become enemies with Qin Haoran. But since he fanned the flames at Spirit Spring Mountain, it was clear that he wanted to push him down the mountain. Haoqi Sect, Training Grounds. The sect masters and family lords were greeting each other warmly, giving people the feeling that they were visiting friends. Because he protected Jun Changshao, although Xie Guanquan was a city lord, very few big shots came up to greet him, treating him like heir. City Lord Xia was also very arrogant. "If you don't care about me, why would I care about you?" Following City Lord Xia were several high-ranking members of Qingyang City's families, including Li Qingyang's father. They were the representatives of the city's 3.6 million citizens, cheering for Iron Bone. However, there were only 6 or 7 of them. Compared to the tens of sect leaders of the 100 Sect Alliance, the difference was too great. Moreover, who wouldn't have friends in a sect? Many of the clans that came to watch the show were mostly related to the 100 Sect Alliance. They chatted fervently and couldn't wait to drink and chat merrily. If one were to talk about who was the most popular, it would definitely be Patriarch AI. At this moment, regardless of whether it was the sect leader or the family head, they all gathered around and tried to curry favor with him. The AI clan was in the pill business and had many connections. Now that they had the healing pill and body-shaping pill, they had to build a good relationship with them. The leader of the Long Blade sect was the most enthusiastic. After all, he was injured. Not only would his strength be greatly reduced, it would also affect his cultivation. He desperately wanted to buy a healing pill. He also went to the second auction, but those who participated were all big sects and big clans. He was so scared that he didn't dare to open his mouth. Patriarch AI. Sect leader Shen said with a flattering smile, "Can you sell me a healing pill in private?" "I'm willing to pay, sorry." AI Shang interrupted, "The healing pills refined by my AI clan are only sold at auctions. We never trade privately. If it was someone else, he might be able to make an exception." But who was this guy? One of the members of the 100 Sect Alliance, Qin Haoran's lackey. Previously, he even challenged sect leader Jun in Qingyang City. Only if my brain was kicked by a donkey would I sell it to him and offend my own business partner. Patriarch AI's stand was firm. If you have a grudge with Iron Bone, you have a grudge with my AI clan. Don't even talk about buying healing pills, I don't even welcome you to buy herbs from the medicine store. Sect leader Shen was rebuffed and left angrily. He thought to himself, did I offend him? His tone was so cold. Thinking that Jun Changshao had come, and that the vast spirit sect would be able to help him vent the resentment of being injured, his irritable mood immediately became a lot better. Patriarch AI, when are you going to auction it? Can the body-shaping pill really strengthen the body and increase one's strength? We are all from Qingyang County. Can you take care of it? Don't let people from other counties spend a lot of money to buy it. All the big shots in Qingyang County surrounded AI Shang and asked about the pills. It was obvious that the healing pills and body-shaping pills were very popular. Cough, cough. Right at this moment, Qin Haoran walked out in a short robe and coughed twice with his hands behind his back. The aura of someone who had been in a high position for a long time spread out. The martial arts arena instantly quietened down. The big shots turned around and greeted him with a smile. Xie Guangquan didn't try to worm his way into being friends with Qin Haoran because he was on par with him in terms of status. The clan heads of Qingyang City wanted to go up and greet him, but the city lord didn't. They could only stand at the back awkwardly. When Qin Haoran saw Xie Guangquan, he knew that Xie Guangquan was biased towards Jun Changshao. Thus, he didn't bother and treated Xie Guangquan as heir. Clan head AI. Seeing AI Shang's gaze, Qin Haoran immediately changed into a smile and said, "Why are you here?" He used to work with the AI clan. After all, he was the alliance head. AI Shang cupped his hands and said, "Of course I'm here to support you." Hearing this, Qin Haoran's smile became wider. The surrounding big shots and clan heads were envious. They had long heard that Haoqi Sect and the AI clan had frequent business dealings and had a close relationship. This time, when the Iron Bone came to challenge, the clan head personally came to support them. The rumors were indeed true. Men. Qin Haoran said, "Give clan head AI a seat." "There's no need." AI Shang said, "I'll just stand." Clan head AI is quite polite. His relationship with Alliance head Qin is definitely not ordinary. Many big shots discussed in low voices. Qin Haoran's eyes were filled with pride. He was a little proud of clan head AI's support. However, Xie Guangquan's lips curled into a sneer as he thought, "Qin Haoran, Alliance head Qin, do you really think you're some big shot?" Others didn't know about the AI clan's healing pills, but he knew because Jun Changshao had given him two. Thus, he guessed that this brat must have reached a business deal with the AI clan. City Lord Xia had eaten rice and walked many roads. Naturally, he wouldn't expose the truth. Report. At this moment, a disciple hurried in and said, "Iron Bone Sect head Jun Changshao has brought a disciple to seek an audience outside the mountain gate. This seek an audience is very clever. He's directly looking down on our sect head." Jun Qin Haoran said indifferently, "Let him in." Yes. The disciple retreated. The slightly quiet martial arts arena suddenly became lively. Everyone was naturally talking about Jun Changshao. The big shots of the 100 Races Alliance looked at each other, their lips curled into a disdainful smile. Dozens of sect heads were already prepared. As long as Jun Changshao appeared in front of them, they would immediately erupt with an invisible force to give him a show of strength. Creak. The door opened. Jun Changshao, wearing dazzling sunglasses and holding a cigar in his mouth, walked in with 8 disciples. Seeing him approaching step by step, the sect heads were about to release their auras. Suddenly, a deafening sound rang out. Ah ah ah, ah 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 ah. Vaguely as if I've seen it in a dream. Waves appear in my heart. Throw away the affairs of the world and end the enmity. Jun Changshao stepped onto the martial arts arena with the Cantonese version of Iron Blood Loyal Heart as the background music. Pa! The sound system was turned off. Sect head Jun gently raised his head and smiled faintly. Alliance head Qin, my Iron Bone sect is here to cause trouble. Ta ta ta. 8 disciples stepped forward and stood behind the sect head in a row. Iron Bone Sect. Arrogance soaring to the sky. Chapter 148. The 50 Sect leaders of the Alliance had already decided yesterday that they would use their own power to give Jun Changshao a show of strength. In the end, their rhythm was disrupted by the iron blood pill heart. When they regained their senses, Sect leader Jun was already standing in the martial arts stage with his sunglasses on and a cigar in his mouth. Behind him were 8 disciples in a row. Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji had their hands behind their backs, their expressions serious. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and Tian Qi had their hands in front of their chests as they raised their heads high. Lu Qianqian and Zhou Hong each held a sword. Yi Xingqian shyly put down the sound system and stepped on it with one foot. His lips curled into an evil smile. Although they were facing over 10 sect leaders who had been in power for a long time, their arrogance and iron bones were not at a disadvantage at all. The martial artists who were watching the show were surprised. Although Iron Bone's level was not high, his disciples were very imposing. However, when sect leader Jun said that he, Iron Bone, had sent people to destroy the martial arts stage, wasn't that a little arrogant? More than a little. It was extremely arrogant. Qin Haoran, who was standing in front of the Great Hall, had a gloomy expression. He even had the urge to curse. Everyone was from the Jianghu. Challenges would be called sparring and discussing the Tao. This guy came and said that he was going to destroy the martial arts stage. Did he know the rules of the Jianghu? Jun Changshao understood. But since he had fallen out with the 100 Sect Alliance, he would not be welcomed even if he came to challenge them. He might as well be as arrogant as he could be. Ignorant brat. A sect leader of the Alliance said angrily, "Here." Jun Changshao raised his hand and pointed at him with his index finger. It was as if he was possessed by Wang So-and-so. He said indifferently, "If you are unhappy, then hold it in." Thinking about Situ Wang who had vomited blood at the Star Moon Pavilion, the sect leader quickly swallowed his words. One action and one sentence was enough to make a sect leader of the Alliance not dare to make a sound. The martial artists who were watching the show were impressed. Amazing. Suddenly, laughter sounded. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw AI Shang walking out from the crowd with a smile on his face. Family head AI couldn't take it anymore. Was he going to help Alliance head Qin suppress that fellow's arrogance? Many people thought so. Qin Haoran also thought so. He cupped his hands and said, "I appreciate Patriarch AI's good intentions. However, this boy has a sharp tongue. Please don't waste your breath on him." AI Shang ignored him and walked towards Jun Changshao. This made many martial artists unanimously believe that the AI family head was determined to help Alliance Master Qin. He was even going to attack him verbally at close range. Their friendship was so deep that it made others envious. Although Alliance Master Qin felt a little apologetic, a smug smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This time, there were many big shots from all over the world. The scale of this event was far greater than the intersect tournament that had just ended not too long ago. With the AI clan supporting them on such a grand occasion, it was truly a matter of pride. Kid. This was the head of the AI family. Not only did he have a wide network of friends, but he also sold high-grade pills. Today, he came to support this Alliance head. If you dare to talk back to him, you will not only offend Azure Sun County. At that moment, Qin Haoran was very happy to see Jun Changshao talking back to AI Shang. This way, he would only offend more people and end up in a worse state. Sect head Jun AI Shang walked over and spoke with a smile on his face. Many people thought that he was mocking them. However, his next action and sentence made them all dumbfounded. That action was a bow and the words were, "How have you been?" This, they understood. After all, the AI family had been in the business world for many years. They did things logically and didn't want to talk back directly. Instead, they wanted to go through the procedures in a civilized manner. As expected of a veteran. Greeting someone politely before talking back to them. If Jun Changshao directly talked back, it would only make him seem uneducated and superficial. Remember, this is a textbook example of talking back. The sect head, who had just opened his mouth but swallowed it back, thought to himself in admiration. He was too angry just now and forgot his manners. Otherwise, he would definitely have exchanged dozens of rounds with that kid. AI family head. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and smiled. Why are you here too? The martial artist who was secretly admiring AI Shangbu's shrewdness and ruthlessness when he saw Qin Lai's face full of smiles and politeness, his expression suddenly became sluggish. Damn! Follow his example and deal with his moves as they come. At that moment, everyone seemed to see two opposing auras emerging from AI Shang and Jun Changshao. Although they were full of smiles, as if they had met an old friend, they were engaged in an intense battle in an invisible manner, and they were locked in a fierce fight. Experts, experts! Just as the big shots were overanalyzing, AI family head said, I heard that your sect is coming to Haoqi Sect to spar. As good friends, I naturally have to come to cheer for you. First state your position before talking back. Careful. Everyone was watching Jun Changshao's expression, wondering if he would back down after realizing that his opponent was very strong. He didn't back down. Instead, he cupped his hands and smiled. Jun is very grateful that the AI family can come to cheer for us. Gah! Everyone was dumbfounded. This guy thinks the AI family is here to cheer for him. Humph, Qin Haoran said coldly, Sect Master Jun, you really think too highly of yourself. Think too highly of myself? Jun Changshao was stunned as he looked at AI Shang and asked, isn't the AI family's lord here to cheer for me? Pfft, huh. Can't this guy see it? Use your brain. Why would an elixir family like AI family head come to support an 8th-rate sect? The leaders of the 100 Clan Alliance took the opportunity to laugh without restraint. That's right. AI family head hurriedly smiled. I came all the way from Huyang City to cheer for Sect Master Jun. Gah! The big shots of the Alliance stopped laughing. Some of them were caught off guard and almost choked. The car was too fast and the turn was too sudden. The martial artists who came to watch the show all widened their eyes. They even wondered if they had heard wrong. Thank you, Jun Changshao said. Alliance Master Qin's expression froze. He said in disbelief, AI family head, you said you came to cheer for this kid? AI family head walked behind Jun Changshao and stood at the edge of the martial arts field. He then said, that's right. Ha ha ha. Xie Guanquan, who had been holding back for a long time, laughed loudly. I wonder who it is that thinks too highly of himself. Even I feel ashamed for him. Qin Haoran's face instantly turned green. It was so green that it made people panic. City Lord Xia led the family heads of Qingyang City to Jun Changshao. He cupped his hands and said, Sect Master Jun, don't panic, don't be anxious, don't be afraid. Qingyang City's 3.6 million people are on the same side as you today. As he spoke, he walked in front of AI family head. When Patriarch Li and Li Qingyang brushed past each other, Patriarch Li patted Li Qingyang's shoulder heavily and said, Son, I'll be watching you from behind. Don't embarrass the Li clan, and even more so, don't embarrass the Iron Bone righteous sect. When he learned that his son defeated Sacred Spring Water's inner disciple at Spirit Spring Mountain, he sat in the study room and cried for a long time. At that time, he truly realized how correct his son's decision was. Coming to Haoqi Sect was not to represent 3.6 million people, but to represent a father. Li Qingyang's eyes were firm. Behind him were AI Shang, Xie Guanquan, and the 3.6 million people of Qingyang City. Sect Master Jun, suddenly, a deep voice said, This old man heard from Ma Yunting in the sect that you are not simple. Today, I see that it is true. Next to AI family head, a white-haired old man with sharp eyes appeared out of nowhere. Senior is? Jun Changshao was stunned. The old man said in a deep voice, Tsang Mountain Sect, Wang Donglin. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Wang Donglin, wasn't he one of the 4 elders of Tsang Mountain's sect who had reached the peak of Wuzong? Sect Master Jun Ai Shang whispered, I hired him. So that's how it is. Jun Changshao stood with his hands behind his back. He looked at Qin Haoran and said in the most formal way in Jianghu, Sect Master of Iron Bone Jing Sect, Jun Changshao, has come to Haoqi Sect with his disciples. Chapter 149. Behind him was the AI family, the 3.6 million citizens of Qingyang City, and the elders of Blue Mountain Sect. Would Jun Changshao be afraid? Be an unyielding person, and do unyielding things. What was there to be afraid of? Even without such a strong backing, Jun Changshao dared to come and cause trouble, so he was definitely not afraid. Therefore, for the first time, he officially challenged Haoqi Sect in front of all the forces of Qingyang County and more than 50 big shots of the 100 Clans Alliance. Crack! Qin Hao clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Haoqi Sect accepts the challenge. The AI family head's support for Jun Changshao was a huge blow to him. At this moment, he couldn't wait to start the fight immediately and let his disciples beat the Iron Bone disciples thousands of times to vent his anger. Blue Mountain Sect's Wang Donglin support. Sorry, this is a serious fight. Even if you support Iron Bone, you can only watch. Alliance Master Qin thought too much. Although Wang Donglin's appearance was meant to support Jun Changshao, it was only a personal battle. He definitely wouldn't interfere with the fight. Swish! Alliance Master Qin waved his sleeves and walked down the main hall's platform, stopping at the martial arts field. Swish! Swish! Thousands of disciples rushed out from the inner court and lined up neatly at the back. The momentum was huge. The 20 disciples standing in the front 2 rows locked onto Li Qingyang and the others. Some of them looked dignified, while others looked disdainful. These were the elite disciples of Haoqi Sect. Especially the 10 disciples in the front row, they were all personally trained by Qin Haoran. Their cultivation and spirit roots were not bad. Sure enough, the information is correct. Jun Changshao secretly said, this Haoqi Sect has 3 disciples with high-grade spirit roots. Through the prying function of the dazzling light sunglasses, he could clearly analyze the aptitude and cultivation of the 10 disciples of Haoqi Sect. Know your enemy and you will win every battle. While Li Qingyang and the others were cultivating in seclusion, Alliance Master Jun had ordered the Drizzle Hall to find out the details of Haoqi Sect. It was no exaggeration. Where the 3 disciples with high-grade spirit roots lived, how many people there were, how many acres of land they had, and what kind of livestock they had. The strength of the 10 personal disciples standing in the front row was incredible. From left to right, there were 3 high-grade spiritual roots. One was a first-grade martial master, while the other 2 were peak martial disciples. Although the remaining 7 disciples all had middle-grade spiritual roots, their aptitude was not enough to make up for their cultivation. There were 3 9th-grade martial disciples and 4 8th-grade martial disciples. As a mere 5th-rate sect, it was normal for them to recruit 3 high-grade spiritual roots and have someone break through to become a martial master. However, he didn't have a supreme-grade spiritual root. Even in a 5th-rate sect, there would only be 1 disciple with a supreme-grade spirit root. If Xiao Ziji's aptitude had not deteriorated, with his spirit root aptitude, even 4th and 5th-rate sects would have to stand aside and fight for him. Sacred-grade spirit roots were mostly found in first-rate sections. The strongest divine-grade spiritual root. This kind of heaven's pride with great luck rarely appeared in the long years. As long as they didn't accidentally die, they would all be able to ascend to the throne and become the faith of all people. Compared to the vast Qi sect, the Iron Bone had 3 high-grade spiritual roots, Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and Yi Xingchen. They didn't seem weak. They weren't weak, but they lacked a foundation. Not to mention their overall strength, they couldn't compare to the 1,000 disciples. No rush, no rush. One had to take 1 step at a time. No one could become a fatty in 1 bite. Sect Master Jun, Qin Haoran said indifferently, how do you want to fight? Jun Changshao said, the Iron Bone will send 7 disciples, and the Haoqi sect will send 7 disciples. How about 4 wins out of 7? Sure. Qin Haoran had no objections. Since it was an open and above-board fight, he couldn't let the 1,000 disciples rush up. However, he paused and said with a smile that hit a knife, since we're here to fight, why don't we add some stakes? Jun Changshao rubbed his nose and said, what kind of stakes does Alliance Master Qin want to add? Qin Haoran said, if the Haoqi sect wins this time, I'll have to trouble Sect Master Jun to stay here and clean the stables for a year. Shentong laughed, so Alliance Master Qin is still lacking a servant. I think Sect Master Jun can do it. Being able to clean the stables of the Haoqi sect is also an honor. The elders of the alliance all laughed. The cultivators who were watching the show shook their heads. If the sect master really had to clean the stables of the Haoqi sect, he wouldn't have the face to see anyone in the future. Regarding the stakes, Qin Haoran had already thought about it. At first, he wanted Jun Changshao to kneel in front of him and kowtow to apologize in front of everyone. What crime? The crime of leaving the 100 Sect Alliance without permission. But since the AI family head and the Grey Mountain sect came to support him, he could only take a step back and change it to cleaning the stables. Although the stakes were different, there was only one goal. That was to ruthlessly attack Jun Changshao's self-esteem and trample on his character. To a sect master, this method was even more terrifying than killing him. Qin Haoran smiled, Sect Master Jun, what do you think? My ass. What the hell? Jun Changshao said, I haven't said my stakes yet. Please speak. Qin Haoran said. In reality, he didn't think much of it, because he had full confidence in defeating the Iron Bone sect in this competition. Jun Changshao thought for a while, then said, my stakes are, if Alliance Master Qin loses, please come clean the toilets of my Iron Bone sect for a year. Sect Master. Su Xiaoma said seriously, if someone as noble as Alliance Master Qin comes to clean the toilets of my sect, I'm afraid I won't be able to pull it out. Li Fei added, when I think of Alliance Master Qin personally cleaning the toilets, and doing it so cleanly, I will definitely feel guilty. You two idiots, what are you talking about? The Haoqi sect disciple couldn't help but scold. Su Xiaoma tilted his head and said, who are the idiots talking about? The idiots are talking about. The Haoqi sect disciple's brain turned and changed his words, you are an idiot. Motherfucker, your whole family is idiots. 18 generations of your ancestors are all idiots. Su Xiaoma scolded, his spittle flying everywhere. One must have an imposing manner, and one must not back down when scolding others. The Haoqi sect disciple was so angry that his face turned red. He was about to retort when Qin Haoran raised his hand to stop him. Humph, one of the alliance's big shots said coldly, full of vulgar words, Sect Master Jun's leadership is good. Jun Changshao said indifferently, old man, didn't you hear that the Haoqi sect disciple scolded first? Should my disciple be an honest person and take the scolding, then use universal love and quality to influence the other party? Universal love was a saint. Quality was used on people with quality. In the falling star continent, those without quality would be treated with even less quality. Alliance Master Qin, is my wager okay? Jun Changshao asked. Qin Haoran cupped his hands and said to the martial artists who were watching the show, everyone, please be a witness. Our Haoqi sect and Iron Bone have set the wager. Don't worry, Alliance Master Qin, everyone saw it. A martial artist who was watching the show shouted, if anyone is willing to bet and refuses to admit defeat, then they are the scum of the Jianghu. Everyone will despise them and kill them. That's right. The other martial artists echoed. Qin Haoran was satisfied. He cupped his hands and said, Sect Master Jun, please. Swoosh. Swoosh. The Haoqi sect disciples quickly spread out and surrounded half of the martial arts practice field. The alliance's big shots and various martial artists stood in the open area to watch the fight. Chapter 150. The vast spirit sect's martial arts arena was huge. Counting the vast spirit sect's disciples and elders, it was almost a circle. 80% of the people were close to Qin Haoran. 20% of the people were close to Jun Changshao. It could be seen from the arrangement that many martial artists thought the vast spirit sect was stronger. Jun Changshao said, "Alliance Master Qin, send your disciple out." Qin Haoran said calmly, "Since Sect Master Jun came all the way here, I can't be perfunctory. I'll send my personal disciple out." After saying that, he waved his hand. Sun Yi, the personal disciple standing in the front row, walked out and went straight to the center of the martial arts arena. Rank 8 martial disciple? Jun Changshao thought for a while and said, "Little Fei, go out." "Yes." Li Fei rubbed his right foot on the ground, then clenched his fist and strode to the center of the martial arts arena. He looked relaxed, but in fact, he was panicking. After all, this was the first time he represented Iron Bone in a competition with another sect's disciple. The pressure must be great. Jun Changshao encouraged him from behind, "Don't be nervous, don't be scared. Just bring out the energy you had when you were playing football in the sect." Li Fei took a deep breath, his eyes shining with determination. Then, he stood 5 meters away from Sun Yi, who was a head taller than him and was in his early 20s. There was a huge difference in height and physique. Vast Spirit Sect's personal disciple has gone through all kinds of training. Iron Bone might not be able to win if they send such a delicate little guy out. Sect Master Jun should send Li Qingyang out directly and defeat the weakest with the strongest. Then, he could win 2 rounds and send the weakest against Vast Spirit Sect's strongest. Forget it. Vast Spirit Sect has 3 rank 9 martial disciples and 3 disciples with upper-grade spiritual roots. Iron Bone would only win 1 round if they sent Li Qingyang out. You're talking as if Bone's sect can win 2 rounds. All the martial artists discussed in low voices. More than 50 of the alliance's elders sneered. In their opinion, since Jun Changshao had entered the Grand Qi sect, no matter how they arranged for their disciples to fight, the result would not change. They would only lose. If he didn't send Li Qingyang to win the first match, then he would be shaved bald. Vast Qi sect, Sun Yi. Iron Bone, Li Fei. After the 2 of them reported their sect and name to each other, Sun Yi clenched his fist and said in a low voice, "Brat, you humiliated the sect leader just now, I will make you suffer a painful defeat." "Oh." Li Fei responded. "Begin." An elder of the Haoqi sect, acting as the referee, shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, the stocky Sun Yi rushed over with large strides. He spread out his strong arms, obviously intending to capture him. Li Fei tiptoed and dodged like a rabbit. He circled to Sun Ye's back and executed a rupturing fist, cleanly aiming for Sun Ye's back. "Paw!" Sun Yi reacted quickly. He turned around and grabbed Li Fei's fist with his palm. He clenched his fist tightly, obviously intending to crush it. That disciple of the Vast Qi sect has a strong physical body. The Iron Bone disciple has his fist clenched and can't escape. He can only take the beating. The first match is over. A powerhouse commented. However, Sun Ye's 5 fingers clenched tightly on Li Fei's fist. They didn't hear the sound of bones breaking. Everyone was stunned. The Haoqi sect disciple was an 8th rank martial disciple. His hand strength should be at least 12,000 pounds. He should be able to crush it easily. Li Fei said, "That's all you have?" That guy was laughing. Many powerhouses had the same thought. This Iron Bone disciple's physical body was extremely strong. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to be so calm. Damn it! Sun Yi angrily poured more spiritual power into his hand. The strength of his 5 fingers reached the limit, but he still couldn't move it. It was as if he was holding an iron lump. Swoosh! Li Fei leaped into the air and swept his right leg straight over. This foot of his had kicked Yi Xingqian countless times and Jun Changshao many times. It could be called the golden right foot. Bang! His right foot, infused with spiritual power and physical strength, landed accurately on Sun Ye's face. And it wasn't just one kick. Bang! 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 After Li Fei jumped up, he landed 5 kicks due to inertia. Each kick carried more than 15,000 pounds of force. The tip of the last kick landed heavily on Sun Ye's temple. The destructive force caused his strength to loosen, and he retreated dizzily. Good chance, Jun Changshao said. Li Fei, who had just broken free, landed on the ground. He waved his waist to cover his knees. Then, he rushed over and leaped into the air. Iron Bone Shadowless Kick. Bang 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 bang. Sun Yi, who was constantly retreating, had many footprints on his chest. Finally, he retreated to the edge of the martial arts practice field. He immediately fell down. Blood splattered 3 feet high in the process. Boom! The Haoqi sect's direct disciple fell heavily on the ground. His entire body was already out of the martial arts practice field. It was obvious that he had lost. Swoosh! Li Fei used the force to somersault backward. After landing, he assumed the posture of a swallow plucking water and said, "Thank you for letting me win." Good! Su Xiaoma shouted excitedly. Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji grinned. Direct disciple? What trash! Yi Xingqian muttered disdainfully. The elders of various sects and clans opened their eyes wide. Li Fei, whose fist was tightly held, actually kicked Sun Yi to the point of vomiting blood in a very short time. This was simply inconceivable. From the aura he emitted, it seemed like he was only a 5th-grade martial disciple. Why was the strength of each kick above 15,000? It was not that a 5th-grade martial disciple could not have such explosive strength. It was based on high aptitude and high martial skills. Then what about the Iron Bone disciple? He only used his fist technique when he attacked. Those 5 kicks in the air did not use any martial skills. There was also the Iron Bone Shadowless Kick. What kind of martial skill was this? What kind of quality was it? Why had they not heard of it? It was not a martial skill, nor did it have any quality. It was something that Jun Changshao designed for Li Fei based on Huang Feihong's ideas. It was just a name to scare people. In reality, it relied on the strength of the legs to form a dense attack. It was not a martial skill at all. The spectators were not clear. They all guessed that since the Iron Bone Shadowless Kick was named after the Iron Bone, could it be a unique martial skill of the Iron Bone sect? Alliance Master Qin's face was extremely gloomy. His disciple had lost just like that. Furthermore, he lost to a 5th-grade martial disciple. He could not accept this. Similarly, the elders of the 100 Sect Alliance also had ugly expressions. After all, they were waiting to see a joke. In the end, the situation was different from what they expected. Wang Donglin nodded and praised, although this disciple is only a 5th-grade martial disciple, he is able to explode with such high strength. He is a good seedling. Ai Shang muttered in his heart that Iron Bone disciple must have taken a body-shaping pill. Otherwise, it would be impossible for a 5th-grade martial disciple to withstand the strength of the Haoqi sect's disciple. After winning the first round, Jun Changshao cupped his hands towards the ugly Qin Haoran and said, "Alliance Master Qin, my apologies. My Iron Bone won the first round by luck." Humph! Qin Haoran snorted and ordered his disciples to carry the unconscious Sun Yi away. He said indifferently, "Sect leader Jun, your Iron Bone will send out your disciple for the second round." It did not matter if they lost the first round. As long as they won the next round, they could still let this brat clean the stables. Jun Changshao held his chin and thought for a while. He said, "Tian Qi, go." Yes. Tian Qi took a step forward. He had participated in the Great Sect competition before. His state of mind was more stable than Li Fei's. This time, Qin Haoran did not send out an 8th-grade martial disciple. He directly sent out a 9th-grade martial disciple. It was obvious that he wanted to win the second round. Alliance Master Qin does not plan to send out an 8th-grade martial disciple. There are still 2 ninth-grade martial disciples, 2 peak martial disciples, and 1 martial master. They are just enough to fight against the other 5 Iron Bone disciples. That disciple called Li Fei just now, his strength is not bad. He must have used his strength to defeat the weak. However, how can every Iron Bone disciple be so strong? Li Fei, who had just retreated behind the sect leader, heard the discussions. He really wanted to tell them loudly, I am the weakest in my village. I only relied on my leg strength to catch them off guard. Chapter 151. In the middle of the training field, Tian Chi cupped his hands and said, Iron Bone, Tian Chi. The Haoqi Sect disciple said lightly, Haoqi Sect, Tan Yong. After he finished speaking, a thick wave of spiritual power appeared around him. It seemed that he wanted to use his aura to intimidate his opponent. Unfortunately, Tian Chi was unmoved. There was even a trace of disdain in his eyes. The spectating martial artists couldn't accept it. The disciple sent by the Haoqi sect was a 9th-grade martial disciple. Where did this Iron Bone disciple get the confidence to be so disdainful? Or was it that their sect leader was arrogant and their disciples were the same? Sigh. A crooked stick would have a crooked shadow. Begin. The referee shouted. The first to attack was Tian Chi. He took a step forward and used explosive fists on his left and right fists at the same time. Bang, bang, bang. Endless bangs could be heard. He came close too quickly and his fists were also fast. Tan Yong couldn't dodge at all. He could only pour spiritual power into his body and use his palms to counter the moves. Bang! Bang! Tian Chi's fists seemed to be filled with the power of 10,000 caddies. He attacked again and again. His strength soared and finally broke through 17,000 caddies. Feeling the strong wind and the aura formed by the attacks, all the big shots' expressions gradually stiffened. This Iron Bone disciple was the same as Li Fei just now. His cultivation was only a 5th-grade martial disciple. How could he hit with such a high strength? Tian Chi paid more attention to his body and fist techniques. When he used explosive fists, regardless of strength or power, he was definitely stronger than Li Fei, who used his feet. This strength wasn't just a little bit stronger. Shen Tong's eyes almost popped out. The strength of 2 5th-grade martial disciples from the Iron Bone was higher than his, a 9-star martial disciple. It was too much of a blow to his self-esteem. Bang! Bang! Tian Chi's fists were like 2 iron hammers, crazily attacking. Tan Yong was in a defensive position from the beginning. He couldn't break free and could only fall into an absolute passive state. Thump, thump, thump. His body kept retreating and finally stood at the edge. Because of the dense fist techniques, it was difficult to block them all. He could only put his arms together and let the opponent attack. All the big shots' mouths twitched. They felt like they were watching an Iron Bone disciple punching a sandbag. The one who punched him was a 5th-grade martial disciple, and the one who was punched like a sandbag was a 9th-grade martial disciple. This world was too crazy. Jun Changshao shrugged and said, it's really not difficult. From the very beginning, he didn't take the Haoqi sect seriously. Otherwise, he wouldn't have kept emphasizing that they were just small monsters on the way to challenging the big boss. Right now, Tian Chi was using a 9th-grade martial disciple as a sandbag to wildly attack. This was enough to explain everything. Ah! Tan Yong, who had fallen into an absolute passive position, roared in anger. But just as he shouted, a heavy punch landed on his face. His head immediately tilted, and his body staggered out of the martial arts arena. Paw! Tian Chi clasped his wrist with one hand and pulled him over from the exit line. He used his shoulder to throw him over his shoulder, and then sat on his stomach. He raised his fists and bombarded him wildly. The sect leader said, "You can't kill him, but you can beat him half to death." Boom! Boom! Tian Chi slung over Tan Yong's body and bombarded him wildly with rupturing fists. In an instant, Tan Yong's face was bruised and swollen, and he was foaming at the mouth. In the end, he lost consciousness and fainted. Kacha, seeing his disciple being abused like this, Qin Haoran clenched his fists. His cold eyes flashed with monstrous anger. There was no use being angry. This was a battle in the martial arts arena. If his disciple was abused, it meant that his skills were inferior. Swoosh! Tian Qi got up and cupped his hands. Thank you for letting me win. The big shots of the 100 Clans Alliance and the martial artists of various forces who were watching the show had interesting expressions on their faces. After the battle began, Tan Yong fell into a passive position. He could only block until he fainted on the spot. Throughout the battle, he didn't counterattack once. This gap was too big. One is Li Fei, one is Tian Qi. Iron Bone's disciples are so strong. I can finally understand why the Star Cloud Sect's disciples who challenged Iron Bone were shaved bald. 2 disciples can abuse 8th grade and 9th grade martial disciples as if they were playing. The Star Cloud Sect's inner disciples are undoubtedly going to be abused. All the martial artists were discussing in private. Although the Star Cloud sect leader, who was standing in the crowd, was flushed red, he felt much better. Alliance Master Qin's 2 personal disciples were defeated consecutively. His own disciple losing to Iron Bone did not seem to be a shameful thing. Master AI. Wang Donglin smiled. This Iron Bone is not simple. 2 rank 5 martial disciples had consecutively exploded more than 15,000 strength. They had definitely gone through extreme physical training. The second disciple's fist is so strong. It must be related to the body-shaping pill. AI Shang guessed. Martial artists with ordinary qualifications and low levels could use the body-shaping pill to fight beyond their level. If it was used as a gimmick, it would definitely attract more attention and could be sold at a sky-high price. Wang Donglin cared about his disciple's strength, but he cared about the body-shaping pill's effect. He was indeed a qualified businessman. After Tian Qi returned to his position, Jun Changshao cupped his hands and smiled. Alliance Master Qin, for the 3rd round, your vast spirit sect will send your disciple up first. Seeing that smiling face, Alliance Master Qin could not wait to reach out and tear it apart. Calm down, calm down. No matter how angry he was, he had to maintain a smile. However, his disciple had lost 2 rounds in a row. The second one was brutally defeated. He could not fucking smile at all. Qin Haoran suppressed his endless anger. He looked at a disciple on the right behind him and said, "Go." Yes. The 3rd personal disciple went up. He was also a rank 9 martial disciple, but his strength was stronger than Tan Yong's. "Xiao Mu, go." Jun Changshao said. Su Xiaoma clenched his fists and shook his head as he walked out. He said, "My blood was already boiling at the foot of the mountain. Finally, I can have a good fight." Seeing that the Iron Bone disciples had gone up the stage, the various leaders did not dare to jump to conclusions. That was because they had all thought that the vast spirit sect disciples would win. In the end, they were all defeated. This was not a reverse poison, but a strength. Even if they fought a few more rounds, Sun Yi and Tan Yong would still be defeated and brutally defeated. They did not have high aptitudes and could only rely on their cultivation. However, could they compete with Tian Qi and Li Fei, who relied on various resources, pills, and even spiritual power formations? They did not even know what it would be like to continuously consume pills that could absorb 10 times the amount of spiritual power for 10 days. The 3rd vast spirit sect disciple went up the stage. He cupped his hands and said coldly, "Vast spirit sect, Lao Tai." Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. He said, "No problem." Iron Bone, Su Xiaoma. Su Xiaoma said. After the 2 of them introduced themselves, the referee announced the start of the match. Lao Tai was the first to attack. He poured spiritual power into his body and rushed over in an instant. Swoosh! Swoosh! Su Xiaoma's body rolled backward twice. He took large strides with his short legs and ran around the edge of the training field. His speed gradually increased. He was about to stir up a storm. Lao Tai stood in the training field. He watched his opponent run around in circles, unable to keep up with his speed. He suddenly did not know how to attack. Wang Donglin said, "This kid is good at body techniques." Ai Shang thought, yes, it must be related to the body-shaping pill. Whoosh! At this moment, Su Xiaoma seized the opportunity. He circled behind Lao Tai and kicked him. Bang! Lao Tai discovered it in time. He turned around and punched Su Xiaoma's foot. He was about to follow up with a second attack, but his opponent fled again. "Damn it!" he said angrily. Swoosh! Su Xiaoma appeared behind him again without anyone noticing. He kicked in the air. This speed was fast, but Lao Tai still caught it. He put his arm in front of his body and successfully blocked the powerful kick. "Senior brother, be careful!" someone shouted in alarm. Lao Tai was stunned. He glanced at Su Xiaoma from the corner of his eyes. He saw this guy kick his arm. His body leaned to the side, and his hands were clasped together. His middle finger and index finger protruded as he fiercely stabbed towards his butt. His chrysanthemum was ruined. The ground was full of wounds. Chapter 152. Bang! Su Xiaoma poured his spirit energy into his finger and stabbed it between Lao Tai's buttocks. Ah! Indescribable pain rippled in the martial arts field. Hiss! Many martial artists sucked in a breath of cold air. Their indescribable parts were suddenly lifted, their spines were cold, and their scalps were numb. There were many fatal points in the human body, such as the Baihui point and the Temple point. In a world of martial arts like the Falling Star continent, if one suffered a heavy blow, even if one didn't die on the spot, it would still cause great damage. For example, Li Fei just now. Although he didn't die on the spot, he still retreated dizzily, creating an opportunity for the Iron Bone Shadowless kick to be used. The Baihui point and the Temple point were exposed, and martial artists could more or less protect them with their spirit energy. The indescribable area in the middle of the buttocks was the most vulnerable point. If one were to be ambushed, it would definitely be very painful. If one were to condense their spirit energy and stab it, there would be nothing left to live for. Ah! Lao Tai covered his buttocks, jumping and jumping in the martial arts field. His face was extremely ferocious. Just by looking at his expression, one could understand what kind of pain it was. Shameless. Vulgar method. The big shots of the Alliance angrily condemned. This kind of finger-stabbing indescribable parts was really despicable. Anyone in the martial arts world who wanted to save face would not do it. Jun Changshao secretly said, a group of sanctimonious gentlemen. Although this disciple's method was a bit despicable, it was enough as long as he defeated the opponent and won. What's more, the opportunity was created by him, and he didn't use despicable methods right from the start. If there was someone to blame, it was that kid's fault for not protecting his buttocks well and exposing that big flaw. From this mentality, Su Xiaoma's broken chrysanthemum, full of wounds, method was definitely taught by him. Lao Tai was still holding his buttocks and jumping in the martial arts field, tears were flowing down. It was obvious that it was really painful. Swish! Su Xiaoma rushed over, his body leaping into the air, and his right leg suddenly swept over. In terms of cultivation and leg strength, he was much stronger than Li Fei. In addition, his opponent was in pain, so he didn't put up any defense at all. Thus, he accurately hit the temple on the left side of his face. During the period of seclusion, Jun Changshao must have taught them. Otherwise, they would not have attacked the important acupoints. Boom! Lao Tai, who was clutching his butt, was dizzy and flew out like a cannonball, landing dozens of meters away from the training field. Iron Bone won another round. The corners of the mouths of the various big shots and martial artists twitched. The Haoqi Sect's loss in the first round could be described as careless. In the second round, the Haoqi sect had been suppressed by their strength and martial arts techniques. The third round looked very easy. In a normal sparring session, the fights in the early stages were all appetizers, and the later stages would become more and more exciting. Why did it feel like the fight was getting simpler and simpler? Qin Haoran was so angry that his teeth were chattering. In his opinion, the iron bone could win at most one match. If the disciple did not use it properly, he might be shaved bald. In the end, he lost all 3 matches. Where was his face left? Jun Changshao said, "Alliance Master Qin, are you deliberately going easy on them and sending a group of small fries to fight?" These words were like a sharp sword, stabbing Qin Haoran's heart, making his face look slightly ferocious. "Damn you! It's only the third round. As long as we win 4 matches in a row, you will still be a lowly servant in the stable like a dog." Alliance Master Qin did not care about shaving his head. As long as he won the following matches, as long as he won, he could also trample on Jun Changxiao's self-esteem. "Hu Zheng, go." "Yes." A personal disciple called Hu Zheng walked out. He was a personal disciple with an upper-grade spiritual root, and his strength was at the peak of martial disciple. Qin Haoran did not send a 9th-grade martial disciple with a middle-grade spiritual root because he wanted to win this match to raise the morale. Jun Changxiao thought for a while and said, "Zui Ji, go." Phew! Xiao Ziji clenched his fists, and his exposed muscles suddenly strengthened and became solid. Then, he stepped toward the center of the training field. Wang Donglin frowned and said, "This kid's physical strength is probably much stronger than the top 3 disciples." Looking at Xiao Ziji, Ai Shang slapped his forehead and suddenly realized, no wonder this kid could win the grand competition. It must be because he took the body-shaping pill. Vast Qi Sect, Hu Zheng. Iron Bone, Xiao Ziji. After the 2 of them reported their names, the battle began. The disciple called Hu Zheng used all his spiritual power and immediately used his fist art. Not only did it stir up wind and waves, but there was also a hissing sound. Vast Qi Sect's unique martial skill, middle-grade high-grade wind thunder fist. A middle-grade martial skill. When used by a peak martial disciple, the strength can easily break through to 20,000 kilograms. If that iron bone disciple is hit, the result will be, bang! 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 Before he could finish his words, a storm of fists had already come crashing down on him. However, Xiao Ziji did not move. He opened his hands and blocked all the fists from different angles. That was called elegant. All the big shots were a little dizzy. Hu Zheng, a peak martial disciple, used a middle-grade high-grade martial skill. His strength was definitely 20,000 kilograms. Even if you blocked it, you should at least take a few steps back. Take a step back. However, he was a disciple of the Vast Qi Sect. This was because Xiao Zuiji had swung his arm at his opponent when he was about to make a move, and had sent him stumbling back a few steps. This hit was very powerful. It was definitely more than 18,000 kilograms. Swoosh! Xiao Ziji stepped forward and poured his spiritual power into his tempered right arm. Then, he swung it again. Hu Zheng, who had just stabilized his body, hurriedly raised his arms to block. However, with a loud bang, he was directly hit back again. This everyone was dumbfounded. How strong was this kid's body? He could directly hit a peak martial disciple until he was in such a sorry state. Unbelievable! Wang Donglin exclaimed. He had never seen a martial disciple who could refine his body to such a terrifying level. Seeing that his disciple was almost unable to stand, Qin Haoran's eyes almost popped out. This battle was too crucial. If his disciple was beaten until he was dizzy and lost the battle, then the Haoqi sect would lose. If they lost, then so be it. However, there was a reward. In front of so many people, as the leader of a sect, as the leader of the alliance, what should he do? Qin Haoran did not dare to think about it anymore. He also did not care about his status. As if he had lost his mind, he roared at Hu Zheng, "Stand firm. Fight back, fight back." All the big shots were silent. They could completely understand why Leader Qin lost control of his emotions. After all, if this disciple lost again, he would have to clean the toilets of the Iron Bone sect. I have sinned. Jun Changshao crossed his arms and said lightly, hit him with all your strength. Xiao Ziji received the order and poured all his spiritual power into his arms. He suddenly swung it and hit Hu Zheng, who had just stabilized himself. That power and that strength could only be described as fierce. Boom! 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 Under the violent bombardment of Xiao Ziji's iron pillar-like arms, Hu Zheng was like a boxer who was at a disadvantage in a boxing ring. He could only bend his waist and use his arms to protect his head as much as possible. There was a guardrail in the boxing ring that could prevent people from falling back. There was no guardrail in the martial arts ring, so Hu Zheng was beaten until he was dizzy and moved back step by step. Qin Haoran roared angrily, dodge, fight back. Hu Zheng was beaten until he felt dizzy and his ears gradually lost their hearing. The sect leader's almost crazy roar weakened until it completely disappeared. Plop! In the end, he covered his head and fell to the ground. The blue sky seemed to be spinning infinitely, and his soul seemed to float out of his body. Pooh! Looking at his disciple outside the martial arts ring, Qin Haoran covered his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was extremely ferocious. Chapter 153. When Hu Zheng was knocked to the ground outside the training field and Qin Haoran vomited blood, the whole world fell silent. The martial artists who were watching the show looked dazed, unable to regain their senses for a long time. The elders of the 100 Clan Alliance looked at Qin Haoran with sorrowful eyes. 4 out of the 7 battles had been carried out, and Haochi Sect had lost all 4. Even if they won 3 consecutive battles, it would be meaningless. Alliance Master Qin would also go to Iron Bone to clean the latrines. That's the Grand Qi sect leader. That's our alliance leader. They couldn't accept it, they couldn't accept it. The elders of the various sects had gathered at Haochi Sect in advance just to see Jun Changshao make a fool of himself and how Iron Bone disciples would be abused. And the result? The result. The plot was the opposite of what they had imagined. Qin Haoran made a fool of himself, and the Haochi Sect disciples were the ones being abused. The martial artists who were watching the show regained their senses and chose to remain silent. Even those who thought highly of Jun Changshao wouldn't have thought that Iron Bone disciples would win 4 consecutive battles and obtain a clean victory. An 8th-rate sect had smashed the arena of a 6th-rate sect. As a witness, they could believe it, but would the martial artists who didn't witness it believe it? It wasn't hard to imagine that when this news spread in Azure Sun County, the first reaction of those who didn't personally witness the battle would be that it was nonsense, and the second reaction would be that it was bullshit. Wang Donglin fell into deep thought. The strength displayed by the 4 disciples of the Iron Bone sect shocked him greatly. He even began to think about how strong these kids could be when they went to Sacred Spring Mountain to fulfill their promise of a year ago. Inexplicably, this elder of Blue Mountain sect was looking forward to it. Alliance Master Qin, my disciples won 4 battles. You have to fulfill your promise and come clean Iron Bone's latrines. Jun Changshao smiled innocently and said, don't worry, my latrines don't stink. Everyone's mouth twitched. What the hell, your latrines don't stink. Alliance Master Qin covered his chest with one hand while the other trembled violently. His breathing became rapid. He couldn't accept losing, and he couldn't accept cleaning Iron Bone's latrines. Who's that? Jun Changshao pointed at the martial artists who had been watching the show and said, repeat what you said just now for Alliance Chief Qin to hear. The martial artist who was pointed at hurriedly withdrew his head and body into the crowd. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, if you don't want to say it, then let me repeat it. He looked at Alliance Master Qin and said in a clear voice, whoever refuses to admit defeat is the scum of the Jianghu. Everyone will despise him and kill him. Pooh! Hearing this, Qin Haoran spat out another mouthful of blood. What did a big shot in the Jianghu care about the most? That's right, it was fame. The Haoqi sect had lost today's battle. If they didn't fulfill the agreement, it would be tantamount to losing their reputation. Qin Haoran slowly raised his head and looked at Jun Changshao with bloodshot eyes. He didn't hide his anger and killing intent as he said, "Sect Master Jun, don't go too far. You scared me to death." Jun Changshao pretended to be afraid as he crossed his arms and said, "Alliance Chief Qin, are you going to act shamelessly and kill me to silence me?" Wang Donglin smiled and said, "Alliance Chief Qin is the leader of a sect and the Alliance Chief of the 100 Sect Alliance. How could he act shamelessly?" Sect Master Jun is overthinking. This was definitely a godly attack. It made Qin Haoran's body sway as if he couldn't stand properly and would fall to the ground. Sect Master Jun, one of the big shots, couldn't help but say coldly, "We're all people of the Jianghu. We'll see each other often. There's no need to go too far. No need. Go too far. Ha. Aha. Ahaha." Jun Changshao laughed loudly. His laughter was like a devil's and sent chills down everyone's spine. Ga. Suddenly, he stopped laughing and tilted his head, saying coldly, "Old man, let me ask you. If Iron Bone, lost, would you stand out and say this?" You wouldn't. He wouldn't either. All of you wouldn't. Because in your eyes, Iron Bone, was born to be humiliated. I was born to be a fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. As his voice grew louder, Jun Changshao's face became ferocious. A bunch of hypocrites who only talk about righteousness and morality. What right do you have to say that I'm going too far? What right do you have to call yourself righteous? Xiao Ziji. Jun Changshao pointed at the main hall, the veins on his forehead popping out. He shouted angrily, "Break the signboard for me." Xiao Ziji, who had just retreated, took out his Type 88 sniper rifle and aimed it at the main hall. Even if this shot could cause a huge mess, he didn't hesitate to pull the trigger. The disciple will follow the sect master's orders. Peng, a ray of light shot out. Under the gaze of more than 1,000 disciples and all the big shots, the signboard with the words, "Noble Spirit Sect," was shattered into pieces. 29. Suitable for traveling and dismantling. Avoid opening markets and meeting friends and family. Seeing the signboard that represented the sect's dignity being shattered, Qin Haoran's anger and killing intent could no longer be suppressed. Wuzong-level cultivation completely erupted as he rushed toward Xiao Ziji. 1 step, 2 steps, he stopped. Xiao Ziji's Type 88 sniper rifle's muzzle moved over and locked onto his head. He said lightly, "If Alliance Master Qin thinks it's faster than my god-powered gun, why don't you give it a try?" Proudly holding a gun, he threatened the Noble Spirit Sect's Sect Master and the 100 Races Alliance's Alliance Master. This scene could only be described with one word: awesome. Clang clang clang. The Sect Master was targeted by a hidden weapon. Thousands of Noble Spirit Sect's disciples all pulled out their weapons. Clang clang clang. Lu Qianqian, Li Qingyang, Su Xiaoma, Tian Qi, and Li Fei all pulled out their weapons to protect the Sect Master. Their eyes flashed coldly. Zhou Hong didn't pull out his sword, but the breeze blew away his messy hair, revealing a pair of eyes that were as sharp as a sword. The ancient sword wrapped in black cloth trembled slightly, as if it was ready to be unsheathed at any time. Yi Xingqian was silent for a moment. He walked in front of Jun Changshao and filled in the last gap. Forget it, forget it. He still needed to rely on his resources. He should just treat himself as an Iron Bone disciple. At this point, 8 disciples surrounded the Sect Master, occupying 8 positions. As long as the Noble Spirit Sect's disciples dared to come forward, they would dare to fight back. On the Spirit Spring Mountain, facing the Holy Spring Sect, they were not afraid. In the Noble Spirit Sect, facing thousands of disciples, they couldn't be afraid. Daring to confront thousands of disciples in the territory of a 6th-rate sect, all the martial artists could only admire them. Qin Haoran gritted his teeth and said, "Jun Changshao, you destroyed my Noble Spirit Sect's signboard and trampled on my Noble Spirit Sect's dignity. This is an irreconcilable hatred. Jun Changshao said indifferently, "Isn't it ridiculous for a guy who cleans the latrines to talk about dignity?" This sentence seemed to tear Qin Haoran's heart apart, causing his face to twist in pain. He clenched his fists, and his killing intent had never been so strong before. However, he didn't make a move, not because he was afraid of the 88 sniper rifle, but because Wang Donglin came from behind and said, "Sect Master Jun, breaking their signboard is a bit excessive." Jun Chang said with a smile, "Senior Wang, you saw it just now. Alliance Master Qin has no intention of fulfilling his promise. I can only destroy the sign that represents awe-inspiring righteousness to avoid tarnishing the word awe-inspiring." In this old man's opinion, Wang Donglin acted as a mediator and said, "Since Sect Master Jun broke the signboard, let's cancel the bet." This, Jun Changshao held his chin and said, "I will listen to Senior Wang, but I'm afraid Alliance Master Qin won't agree." Wang Donglin said, "Using a signboard to cancel the bet and exempt him from cleaning the latrines for a year, how could he not agree? Right?" He looked at Qin Haoran and said, "Alliance Master Qin." Chapter 154. First, he attacked with crazy words, then he smashed Haoqi Sect's plaque. Did Jun Changshao go too far? To be honest, he went too far. But it wasn't about going too far, it was about whether he should do it or not. On Spirit Spring Mountain, Qin Haoran fanned the flames in front of the 3 elders of Sacred Spring Sect, trying to push himself down the abyss. In Haoqi Sect, Qin Haoran added stakes in front of everyone, trying to trample on his dignity. No matter what extreme things Jun Changshao did, he would think that he deserved it. Because if the Ironbone faction lost, this Alliance Master Qin and those jackals of the same lair, no one would stand out and say that they were going too far, or that they shouldn't be too ruthless. In Falling Star Continent, as long as your fist is hard enough, others will reason with you calmly. And you can reason with them without them. In fact, Jun Changshao had absolute confidence in letting Xiao Ziji smash Haoqi Sect's plaque. It wasn't just a simple death. At worst, he would use the plaque in exchange for not cleaning Ironbone's latrines. Wang Donglin saw his intention, so he cooperated and stood up to be a peacemaker. Qin Haoran, who had the intention to kill, forced himself to calm down. He gritted his teeth and said unwillingly, "Cancel the stakes." He agreed, he gave in. As long as the stakes were cancelled, he didn't have to fulfill his promise, and he wouldn't lose his reputation. In this way, Jun Changshao seemed to be angry when he let Xiao Ziji smash the plaque, but it gave Qin Haoran an excuse not to clean Ironbone's latrines. Some people would say that the plaque representing dignity was smashed, so why care about it? Wouldn't it be better to just kill Jun Changshao and scatter flowers? Kill? Wang Donglin and Ai Shanka had to agree. One represented Sangshan's sect, the other represented Ai clan. Qin Haoran knew that it was impossible to kill Jun Changshao. What's more, there were so many martial artists watching the show. They all saw that their sect was beaten 4-0, and they had already lost the challenge. If they killed that kid, what would the Jianghu people say about them? This was the trouble of self-proclaimed righteous sections. They had to take everything into consideration. If it was an evil sect, he wouldn't care so much. If you offend me, I'll kill you and your entire family. Of course. If it was really a heretical sect, Jun Changshao would definitely find another way to deal with it. What kind of tricks? The unstoppable blade was unsealed, representing justice and killing all demons and monsters. Alliance head Qin. Jun Changshao smiled innocently and said, "Since the bet is invalid, what's the point of your disciples drawing their swords?" Qin Haoran suppressed his anger and said in a deep voice, "Withdraw your sword and retreat." The disciples of the Haoqi sect obeyed the order of the sect master. They sheathed their swords and returned to their original positions. They could only glare to express their anger. Clang! Clang! Li Qingyang and the others also withdrew their swords and retreated behind the sect leader. The tense atmosphere suddenly weakened a lot, and the martial artists who were watching the fun were full of admiration for the Ironbone sect's sect leader. He had smashed the Haoqi Sect signboard and was still safe and sound. He was really amazing. Alliance head Qin Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said, 4 wins out of 7. My Iron Bones sect has won 4 rounds, so there's no need to continue the competition. I'll take my leave first. Yi Xingqian was dumbfounded. Leaving just like that? I haven't even appeared yet. Alliance head Qin, who had gradually calmed down, said coldly, Sect leader Jun, although my Haoqi sect has lost, since there are 7 rounds, we must win all of them. Otherwise, it's against the rules of Jianghu 04. Unbearable. They had to win the next 3 rounds. That way, they wouldn't lose so much face in Jianghu. Well, Jun Changshao said, Alliance head Qin, I'm afraid that if we continue to fight, your Haoqi sect will lose 07. Why don't we just forget about it? It'll be easier to talk when we meet in the future. Everyone almost fell down. You even broke their sect signboard. You'll be lucky if you don't draw your sword when you meet in the future. You still expect to sit down and chat? 07. Qin Haoran suppressed his anger and said with a cold face, you underestimate my Haoqi sect too much. Insist on fighting again? Insist on fighting again. Jun Changshao shrugged and said, since Alliance head Qin doesn't mind losing face, let's continue to fight. Right. He said with a smile, do you want to add some stakes? Qin Haoran said angrily, my Haoqi sect has already lost. How can we add stakes? The first 4 rounds won't count as a warm-up. The last 3 rounds will be decided by 2 wins. What do you think? Jun Changshao said. Wang Donglin and Ai Shang were stunned. The victory was already in their hands, but they didn't count and decided to decide the winner again. What kind of show was sect leader Jun playing? The big shots of the alliance and the martial artists from all sides were also stunned. Was he crazy? Qin Haoran was also a little confused. But he quickly reacted. Afraid that guy would change his mind, he said, okay, the first 4 rounds won't count. The last 3 rounds will decide the winner. How about this? Jun Changshao said, let's not play with stakes like cleaning the stables or cleaning the latrines. Let's do something more practical. Whoever loses will pay 10 million taels. 10 million taels? Everyone's eyes widened. This amount was definitely an astronomical figure for the 8th and 9th rate sects and small families. Even the 7th rate sects and big families would suffer a great loss. Qin Haoran said disdainfully, Sect leader Jun, my Haoqi sect can take out 10 million taels. I'm afraid your Iron Bone doesn't have the financial resources, right? If I lose, I have to lend it out even if I have to. Jun Changshao said, isn't that right, Master AI? AI Shang was stunned and hurriedly said, if sect leader Jun needs help, my AI family is willing to lend you 10 million taels. The big shot's eyes widened again. What was the relationship between Iron Bone and the AI family that made Master AI willing to lend them money so easily? And 10 million taels at that. It had to be said that AI Shang came to support Jun Changshao. He was definitely supporting Rigud. Okay. Qin Haoran said, the stakes are 10 million taels. Shua shua. The disciples of Haoqi sect spread out again and surrounded half of the arena. Jun Changshao said, Alliance Master Qin, please send someone to fight. Qin Haoran waved his hand. The second direct disciple who had reached the peak of martial disciple with a high-grade spirit root walked out. At this time, the strongest disciples of Haoqi sect were only left with him and another grade 1 martial master, so Qin Haoran had high hopes for them. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, as long as we win 2 more rounds, we will eat chicken tonight. After a pause, he said, Qingyang, go on stage. Yes. Li Qingyang stepped out. My son. Just as he took 2 steps out, Master Li said solemnly, Father is watching, the ancestors of the Li family are watching. Who? Li Qingyang took a deep breath and said, Father, I will let you see that in the recruitment of 100 sect, the choice your son made is the best decision of his life." Looking at his son's firm and unyielding back, Master Li couldn't help but cry, and his voice trembled as he said, "My son, father has already seen it. Father is extremely proud of you as a disciple of the Iron Bone School." Ta! At this time, Li Qingyang had stopped in the center of the arena. With his back to his father, he said in a loud voice, "Iron Bone, Li Qingyang." Chapter 155. Vast Chi Sect, Xian Yongyang. The Vast Chi Sect disciple who walked to the center of the field announced his name. This person was second only to a first-grade martial master in the sect. His overall strength was also stronger than Hu Zheng's. Although he was strong, he was not much stronger. After all, they were both peak martial disciples. As long as they did not become martial masters, the difference between them was only about 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. "Begin!" the referee shouted. Xian Yongyang rushed forward for the sake of the sect leader and the glory of the sect. His spiritual energy burst out. Not only did it gather around his body, but it also protected several important acupuncture points and poured into his palms. Swish swish swish. In an instant, he attacked with both palms. His spiritual energy whizzed out and formed palm prints accompanied by a whistling sound. This was the Tiger Roaring Dragon Palm. It was a unique palm technique in the Vast Chi sect that had reached the upper middle class. This technique was divided into the Tiger Roaring Palm and the Dragon Roaring Palm. They could be used separately or together to form a tiger and dragon roar. Xian Yongyang had been practicing this palm technique since he entered the sect. When combined with the spiritual energy of a peak martial disciple, once used, the air waves and air friction created a tiger and dragon roaring sound. Swish! Swish! The left palm print like a dragon and right tiger swept over like the roar of a dragon and a tiger. It attracted the praise of all the elders. They all agreed that this person's understanding of palm techniques had reached perfection. He deserved to be called a genius with an upper-grade spiritual root. How would the Iron Bone Li Qingyang deal with this? Swish! While everyone was thinking, Li Qingyang stepped forward and attacked with a rupturing fist. Obviously, he wanted to fight the Tiger Roaring Dragon Palm head-on. Bang! 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 Their fists and palms collided. The air was filled with energy waves, forming circles of ripples. In a few seconds, Li Qingyang and Xian Yongyang had exchanged more than 10 moves. From the situation, it seemed that they were evenly matched. That's right. This is a normal fight. The previous 4 fights were not fierce at all. We came all the way here to watch the show. Bang! 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 The two exchanged more than 10 moves and then tacitly separated, keeping a certain distance. Li Qingyang's face was calm. Xian Yongyang frowned and loosened his palms, trying to relieve the numbness from the collision. Vast Chi Sect's disciples have suffered a loss. Wang Donglin said. Qin Haran also noticed this, and his face became gloomy again. Is my Vast Chi Sect going to lose this competition again? Look, you've already lost your confidence, yet you still insist on licking your face and continuing to fight. You even agreed to bet 10 million taels. Is there something wrong with your brain? It didn't matter if he lost this round. His Iron Bone's strongest disciple, Li Qingyang, had already entered the arena. The disciples sent out for the next 2 matches would definitely not be strong. As long as he won the next 2 matches, he would still be able to win. Shwa! Shwa! Li Qingyang and Xian Yongyang started fighting again. The two of them did not disappoint the onlookers. They were entangled in a fierce battle. This was normal. Previously, if he wasn't kicking, he would be smashing his chrysanthemum. It was as if he was hitting a sandbag. It was a one-sided battle. What fun was there to watch? Bang! 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 The sound of explosions and the roars of tigers and dragons resounded in the martial arts field. Li Qingyang and Xian Yongyang were fighting faster and more fiercely. Jun Changshao held his hands together and murmured, Qingyang didn't choose to end the battle quickly. He probably wants to use this peak-level martial disciple as a sparring partner. Bang! At this moment, the sound of explosions could be heard. Li Qingyang's fist, which contained more than 20,000 jin of strength, hit Xian Yongyang's palm, causing him to stagger back a few steps. The vast Qi Sect's disciple is at a disadvantage. Li Qingyang is really strong to fight against Xian Yongyang, who used the Tiger Roaring and Dragon Roaring palm. On the spiritual spring mountain, defeating the inner disciple of the sacred spring sect was definitely not a fluke. Everyone praised Li Qingyang. Why? Because his moves were open and aboveboard, and he fought very elegantly. Unlike the Iron Bone disciples in the previous 4 matches, they either kicked the temple or used dirty moves like Chrysanthemum. Hearing everyone talking about his son, the head of the Li family proudly puffed out his chest, his face full of pride. Xian Yongyang struggled to stabilize his body, his face slightly pale. His right palm was swollen with pain and numbness. It seemed that the attack was not light. Swoosh! Li Qingyang stepped forward, condensed the rupturing fist, and attacked again. This time, he did not give Xian Yongyang any chance to breathe. He attacked frequently, and finally, Xian Yongyang could only block and retreat, and then, he was beaten out of the martial arts field. Iron Bone won another round. Including the previous 4 matches that were cancelled, it was 5-0. Jun Changshao was not surprised that Li Qingyang won. Among the 7 inner disciples of the Iron Bone, Su Xiaoma and Li Fei were proficient in body movement and leg strength, Xiao Ziji refined his body to the extreme, and Lu Qianqian's spiritual power was boundless. Although Li Qingyang did not have any dazzling advantages, he did not have any obvious shortcomings either. He was an all-round and balanced development. What's more, among the inner disciples, his cultivation was currently the highest, having broken through to the 7th-rank martial disciple. Hu Zheng, a peak martial disciple, was knocked unconscious by Xiao Ziji. It would be strange if the 2nd disciple could not defeat Xian Yongyang, who was also a peak martial disciple. Not to mention Jun Changshao, even the spectators were not surprised by Li Qingyang's victory. His performance was too perfect, too impeccable. Su Xiaoma and the others won the first 4 matches. It felt like the plot had reversed, and Li Qingyang's victory was natural. Wang Donglin commented, "This disciple is not as outstanding as the previous disciples, but he is very stable." Aya! Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said, "Alliance Master Qin, if my Iron Bone wins the next match, your Haoqi sect will have to take out 10 million taels." Humph, Qin Haoran said coldly, "Sect leader Jun, if all your Iron Bone disciples sent out, can you compete with my next disciple? All the elites? Are you looking down on me?" Yi Xingchen, who was behind him, pulled a long face and said in a low voice, "Sect leader, I will fight the next match." When he came to the Haoqi sect, he wanted to fight. He even planned to fight one by one. "Yes." Jun Changshao said, "Go." "Kacha, kacha." Yi Xingchen clenched his fists and shook his head as if he was not afraid of breaking his neck. His eyes flashed coldly. Qin Haoran said indifferently, "Pei Jun, you go. Remember, you must win." "Yes." The personal disciple named Pei Jun walked out. His body was surrounded by vigorous spiritual power. Obviously, he was the strongest disciple of the Haoqi sect. Alliance Master Qin finally sent out a martial master level personal disciple. That Iron Bone disciple looks like a 5th or 6th rank martial disciple. He has no hope of winning. In my opinion, sect leader Jun's plan is to let the strong disciple take the lead, and then let the weak disciple be the cannon fodder. Cannon fodder? Yi Xingchen was furious. If this emperor still had the cultivation of his previous life, this group of lowly ants would be crushed in the palm of his hand. Their souls would scatter, and they would never be reincarnated. As expected of the Night Emperor. His way of thinking was too terrifying. Ta! Pei Jun walked to the center of the area first. He cupped his hands and said, "Haoqi sect, Pei Jun, Yi Xingqian said indifferently, don't talk nonsense. Let's start. TSK, this cannon fodder is quite arrogant. Doesn't he know that Pei Jun is the strongest personal disciple of the Haoqi sect? Using the weakest to defeat the strongest, even if he loses, it will be worth it. Every word of the crowd's discussion was clearly heard by Yi Xingqian. The anger in his body roared and filled his eyes. It was as if two balls of fire were rising. Pei Jun was secretly shocked. This guy's eyes are so scary. You! Yi Xingqian turned to look at the referee and shouted angrily, hurry up and start. I can't wait anymore. This temper, start. The referee shouted. As soon as the referee finished speaking, Pei Jun rushed over. His hands reached behind him, and spiritual power gathered in his palms. He was about to, shwa. Yi Xingqian suddenly appeared on the left side and said coldly, kid, you're too slow. Bang! Chapter 156. Not only did Pei Jun have a high-grade spiritual root, but he was also a martial master. For many martial disciples, this was like an insurmountable mountain because of the difference in cultivation level. If it had been Li Qingyang, Xiao Zuiji and the others, who were martial disciples, they would have been able to defeat Pei Jun. However, if they were to face Pei Jun, it would be extremely difficult for them to win. Martial masters were also known as the spirit manipulation stage. Martial artists at this stage were already very good at using and controlling spiritual power. And for a martial disciple to defeat a martial master, Jun Changshao was probably the only one who could do it. Yes, he defeated the 5th-grade martial master Li Luoqiu. However, he also relied on the strength-increasing talisman and did not have the support of this thing. In the end, he was captured and whipped. Was it really that hard for a martial disciple to defeat a martial master? For others, it was as hard as climbing the sky, but for Yi Xingqian, it was very easy. Bang! He took advantage of the moment when Pei Jun rushed over to his left side, condensed his spiritual power and punched his opponent's waist. Fast, accurate, and ruthless. Wang Donglin was shocked. This kid is so fast. How could he not be fast? This was something that the Knight the Arch had racked his brains to recall. In his previous life, he had once cultivated a movement technique called the crossing dragon steps. Why did he think so hard? Because in his previous life, Yi Xingqian practiced too many martial skills. After he became a martial emperor, he must have focused on the holy and divine level, so he naturally ignored the lower-level martial skills. Crossing dragon steps was not very good. But with Knight Emperor's current cultivation level, he could use it to practice again. As for the holy and divine level martial skills, he had to rely on spiritual power. With his current cultivation level, he could not use them at all. This showed us how powerful the Yi Jingjing and Ling Jian's divine technique were. Low-level martial artists could completely ignore the cultivation level and practice. Thump, thump, thump. Pei Jun, who was hit, took a few steps back. His waist was numb, which slightly hindered the use of spiritual power in his meridians. Yi Xingqian hit the area close to the dantian. Although it was not as extreme as the Taiyang and Baihui acupoints, as long as it was injured, it would definitely affect the use of spiritual power. An expert was indeed an expert. As long as the opponent's cultivation level was not too high, with his previous life's martial arts experience coupled with a high-grade spiritual root, wouldn't it be easy for him to defeat a first-grade martial master? Earlier, when Zhang Xian had confidently declared that he would be able to deal with this matter himself, he wasn't joking around with his life. This emperor was once one of the 10 great martial emperors. As long as the cultivation of my spiritual roots increases, no one in this world can do anything to me. Trash! Yi Xingqian arrogantly said, don't waste my time. Hurry up and attack. Domineering aura leaked out. Pei Jun's eyes flashed with anger. To be looked down upon by a martial disciple, what dignity did a martial master have left? Shwa! He rushed over using his movement technique and immediately used the Roaring Tiger and Roaring Dragon Palm. In terms of strength and speed, it was obviously stronger than Xian Yongyang's. When Li Qingyang faced this move, he chose to use brute force to resist it. Yi Xingqian's method was to use a mysterious movement technique to move between his palms. After his spiritual root was upgraded to a high-grade spiritual root, the coordination between his soul and body had increased. With his sharp eyes, as long as he caught the opponent's movement, he could predict and dodge. This. Wang Donglin's eyes widened. It was unbelievable that a martial disciple could dodge to such an extreme extent. Pei Jun, who used the Roaring Tiger and Roaring Dragon palm, was shocked. No matter how frequently he changed his moves, no matter how tricky the angle was, the opponent could easily dodge. After dozens of moves, he couldn't even touch the corner of the opponent's clothes. A blow. A heavy blow. This disciple is really strong. Judging from his movement technique, he doesn't seem like a martial disciple. No wonder he came out so late. Iron Bone has an even better disciple. All the big shots were amazed. Gold would always shine. Yi Xingqian, whose spiritual root and cultivation level had increased, used his strength to prove that he was worthy of the title of Knight Emperor in his previous life. This guy is really something. Jun Changshao was also very surprised. He let Yi Xingqian be the second last to come out because he might have practiced a mental cultivation method above the divine grade. However, he didn't expect his movement technique and judgment to be so excellent. Swish swish. In the battle area, palm strikes were continuously performed. The roaring of the tiger and the roaring of the dragon continued. The more Pei Jun fought, the more exhausted he became. Because his opponent seemed to have seen through his every move and dodged perfectly. Kid. Yi Xingqian dodged his attack and stood beside him. He said calmly, "Are you desperate?" Desperate. Bang! Knight Emperor gathered his spiritual energy again and punched the side of Pei Jun's waist. It was the same old position. Thump thump thump. Pei Jun took a few steps back. His face was twisted. Because of his injury, it was difficult for him to gather spiritual energy in his meridians. Qin Haoran was stunned. After a while, he lost his mind and roared again, "You can't lose this battle. You must win for me." At this moment, Yi Xingqian appeared in front of Pei Jun. Bang! Bang! Exploding fist was performed. His strength exceeded 20,000 kilograms and hit the same position on his opponent's chest. Because the punch was too fast, Pei Jun didn't have time to retreat. He took more than 10 punches and staggered back. A mouthful of blood flowed from his throat. It's over. Many martial artists were guessing. However, Yi Xingqian didn't stop there. He followed up with the crossing dragon and performed another exploding fist. Bang! 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 After another round of bombardment, Pei Jun finally fell to the ground. His face was extremely pale. Obviously, he had suffered serious internal injuries. Swish! Yi Xingqian stepped on his face and tilted his head to look at Qin Haoran. With a cold gaze, he said, "Win? He's not qualified." What was arrogance? Stepping on the beloved disciple of the patriarch in front of him was arrogance. First, Xiao Ziji smashed the plaque. Then, Yi Xingqian stepped on the face of the strongest disciple. Today, the dignity of Vast Spirit Sect was completely lost. Qin Haoran clenched his fists. His eyes turned red. Obviously, he was extremely angry. The disciples of Vast Spirit Sect were also glaring at him. TSK, Yi Xingqian kicked the seriously injured Pei Jun out of the arena. He said disdainfully, "A bunch of trash." At this point, Iron Bone won again. The score was 6-0. Even if the first 4 matches didn't count, Vast Spirit Sect still lost. Sigh. Jun Changshao spread his hands and said, "Alliance Master Qin, I said before that there's no need to fight anymore. Now, not only did we lose 2 matches, but we also lost 10 million taels." Puff! Qin Haoran spat out blood again. This time, Iron Bone came to fight. Not only did Vast Spirit Sect lose, but they also lost their dignity. It was extremely tragic. When the martial artists expressed their sympathy, they also looked at Iron Bone in a new light. Wang Donglin walked forward and said, "Iron Bone won 2 of the last 3 matches. In my opinion, there's no need to fight anymore. Let's honor the bet and end it here." "No, no," Jun Changshao said, "since it's the rule of the martial world, Alliance Master Qin wants to finish all 7 matches." As he said that, he waved his hand and said, "Chanshan, come on." Lu Chanshan didn't say anything and walked out. Qin Haoran, who was furious, saw that the opponent was a woman. He said hatefully, "Hiren, fight." "Yes." The one called Hiren walked out. He had a middle-grade spiritual root and his cultivation was only an 8th-grade martial disciple. It couldn't be helped. Vast Spirit Sect's 9th-grade martial disciple and upper-grade spiritual root disciple both fought, and they were all defeated. They sent a woman for the last match. Are they deliberately humiliating Vast Spirit Sect? Vast Spirit Sect is furious. If this girl's strength isn't good enough, she'll definitely be beaten up. Everyone was obviously overthinking. Because when the referee announced the start of the match, it was already over. The small fists formed by spiritual power ravaged like a storm. The personal disciple called Hiren fell to the ground and vomited blood. Among the 7 matches, this match was the fastest. All the martial artists' eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, Complete Victory. You've gained 200 contribution points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, First Glimpse. You've gained 300 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 610500. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, First Glimpse. You've triggered the hidden reward, the right to purchase the aptitude modification liquid. It has been transferred to the purchased goods column. Ding! There are excess sect contribution points. The host must spend them within 24 hours. Otherwise, the excess contribution points will be automatically deducted. Chapter 157. When Lu Chanshan won the last match in the shortest time, she triggered and completed 2 hidden missions. Beating Haoqi Sect 7-0, this is called a complete victory. The 7 disciples' performance shocked everyone present, this is called showing the sect's prowess for the first time. Jun Changxiao's lips curled up into a smile when he heard the beautiful system notification. Especially when he heard that the hidden reward of the second hidden mission was the aptitude modification liquid, he smiled even more happily. Opening the purchased item column, he clicked on the details. Sure enough, the new aptitude modification liquid is suitable for high-grade spirit roots. After taking it, it can be upgraded to supreme-grade spirit roots. What made Jun Changxiao collapse was that the price was 300 contribution points. Damn it! Is this a joke? The system said, high-grade and supreme-grade is a dividing line, it's normal for it to be more expensive. Suitable for mid-grade spirit roots, 50 points. Suitable for high-grade spirit roots, 300 points. More expensive my ass. Originally, Jun Changxiao planned to use the excess contribution points on the aptitude modification liquid, but after seeing the price, he quickly dispelled the idea. Too expensive. Can't afford it. Not to mention that he is now a peak martial disciple. With the epic mission suppressing the realm, even if he bought it and used it to upgrade to supreme-grade spirit roots, his level wouldn't benefit. Good steel should be used on the blade. After breaking through to Martial Master, it won't be too late to upgrade the spirit roots. The system said with emotion, the host's brain circuit is really clear and not messy. Of course. Jun Changxiao didn't plan to buy the expensive one, he first bought 2 bottles of mid-grade aptitude modification liquid for Su Xiaoma, Tian Qi, and the others. Ding! Host spent 100 contribution points, obtained aptitude modification liquid X2, has been transferred to the interspatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 510500. As an obsessive-compulsive patient, Jun Changshao couldn't tolerate an extra 10 contribution points. Get rid of it. Xiao! He fiercely pulled down the store. Ding! Sect contribution points, 500,500. N. This is neat, this is comfortable. Jun Changshao didn't have time to look at the new items one by one, he just casually glanced and found that the first row of the first row was actually a weapon named God-modified, Green Dragon Crescent Blade. Green Dragon Crescent Blade? Isn't this Guan Yu's weapon? Jun Changshao hurriedly clicked on the detailed introduction. The content was, Item, God-modified Green Dragon Crescent Blade. Introduction. The weapon used by Wuxing's Guan Yu weighs 82 jin and has killed many generals. Strength. After divine modification, it is suitable for the world of martial arts. The blade is hard and powerful. Weakness. Must have taken the body-shaping pill, otherwise, it will be difficult to use it freely. Moreover, its power depends on one's cultivation realm. Special effect. Summon the soul of Wuxing. Duration, 30 minutes. Cooldown, 24 hours. Price, 200 contribution points. Level, unknown. Don't understand. Jun Changshao frowned. What do you mean? The system said, the power of the Green Dragon Crescent Blade depends on the level of the user, so it is impossible to give an accurate rating. So this is what it means to be a growth-type weapon? You can interpret it that way. Jun Changshao did not consider it and clicked on the purchase button. After opening the shop, there was only the beginner-grade cold-edge sword. This time, under his obsessive-compulsive disorder, there was a second one, and it was a weapon used by Guan Yu. He definitely couldn't miss it. What's more, it was a god-modified weapon with special effects. Ding! The host has spent 200 contribution points and obtained the god-modified Green Dragon Crescent Blade X1. It has been transferred to the space ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 300500, 610 contribution points, 310 of which were spent in one go. Jun Changshao realized that he could do whatever he wanted with money. This was not the time to look at the Green Dragon Crescent Blade. He cupped his hands and smiled. Alliance Master Qin, the 7 matches are over. I am in a hurry to go home and eat chicken. Is it time to redeem the prize? Everyone's mouth twitched. 10 million taels, that was a huge sum. Even if the vast spirit sect took it out, they would have to cut their meat. Qin Haoran's anger could no longer be described with words. If looks could kill, our great leader Jun would have died 10,000 times. Everyone. Jun Changshao shrugged. It seems that Alliance Master Qin does not intend to redeem his promise. Is he still the leader of a sect? Is he still the Alliance Master? Jun Changshao. Qin Haoran's eyes were about to split open. You and I have a match. With so many people watching, he was willing to accept his loss. However, he was also on the verge of going crazy. He needed to fight with Jun Changshao to vent his anger and resentment. Ding! Side mission activated. A mission came. Jun Changshao opened the data panel. Side mission, defeat the sect leader of the vast spirit sect, Qin Haoran 0 of 1, elite mission. Wang Donglin said, Alliance Master Qin, you are a Wuzong. Challenging a martial disciple is a bit of a bully. When he defeated Shentong in the life and death arena in Qingyang City, Alliance Master Qin was still a peak martial master. Later, he broke through before going to the Spirit Spring Mountain. Jun Changshao peeked through his sunglasses and learned that he was a first-grade Wuzong. Not too strong, but acceptable. Humph. Qin Haoran said coldly. Elder Wang, sect leader Jun came to challenge my vast spirit sect. What is wrong with this Qin looking for him? There was nothing wrong with this. Wang Donglin was silent. Ai Shang lowered his voice and said, Sect leader Jun, you can refuse the challenge. Yes. City Lord Xie said, your Iron Bone sect defeated Vast Spirit Sect 7-0. It was a great victory. Even if you don't accept the challenge, no one will say anything. The two of them advised with good intentions. After all, Wuzong was too strong. It was impossible for a martial disciple to win against him. Sect leader. After Yixingchen returned to his seat, he said, quit while you are ahead. Even the arrogant and domineering Knight Emperor said so. It was obvious that there was a huge gap between a martial disciple and a Wuzong. It was not something that could be decided by skills and experience alone. Sect leader Jun, why didn't you accept Alliance Master Qin's challenge? Are you brave enough to let your disciples fight but not brave enough to accept the challenge? Since they are here to exchange pointers, there must be a fight between sect leaders. If you don't have the confidence to defeat Alliance Master Qin, I think you should just admit defeat. At this time, the big shots of the Alliance started to make their presence known. It seemed that the face-slapping by the 7 disciples of Iron Bone wasn't enough to make them feel good. The defeat of Vast Spirit Sect 7-0 was indeed a slap to the big shots of the Alliance. But this time, they were willing to put their faces on the ground and let everyone step on them. They didn't think Jun Changshao could defeat Wuzong's Qin Haoran. Kid, don't be a coward. Go and fight Alliance Master Qin. The big shots of all the sects were eager for Jun Changshao to accept the challenge. They wanted to see how Jun Changshao would be defeated by Alliance Master Qin. City Lord Xie knew what these people were thinking. He hurriedly advised, Sect leader Jun, don't be provoked. Reject the challenge and take back the prize. Returning to Iron Bone is the best plan. Jun Changshao thought for a while and said, Alliance Master Qin, I can accept the challenge. I think we should use weapons to decide the winner. What do you think? City Lord Xie felt a little dizzy. If he accepted the challenge, then he would accept it. Why would he use weapons? Did he think he wouldn't lose enough? Use weapons? Qin Haoran was also stunned. He immediately sneered and said, Sect leader Jun, weapons have no eyes. I'm afraid Jun will hurt you. It's normal for martial artists to get injured and bleed in a fight, Jun Changshao said. Okay. Qin Haoran said, let's use weapons to decide the winner. As he spoke, he was about to walk onto the training field. Jun Changshao reached out to stop him and said with a smile, Alliance Master Qin, I'm afraid there will be an accident. Please hand over the prize for the disciples' exchange. Qin Haoran's face suddenly became very ugly. 10 million taels of blood. Forget it, forget it. Just take it as spending this money to buy this kid's 2 hands. Chapter 158. Outside the arena, everyone was staring at Qin Haoran because he was holding a thick stack of banknotes. Because there were so many banknotes, several disciples standing behind him had to help him carry them. 10 million taels. This was really a huge sum. Jun Changshao said, Alliance Master Qin is really a man of his words. I admire you very much. But, can you let go of your hand? Qin Haoran handed over the money and didn't let go. He couldn't pull it away. Judging from the frequency of his facial muscles trembling, he must be heartbroken. Haochi Sect didn't have many businesses. They just relied on their status as the Alliance Master to earn some extra money. They worked hard to save some money. No one would be able to take out so much money at once. But, was money important or dignity important? With Qin Haoran's personality, dignity was definitely more important. After a fierce struggle in his heart, he still let go of his hand and gave Jun Changshao the banknotes. After giving them, he suppressed the pain and turned to leave. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to resist snatching them again. He regretted it so much, so much. If he could turn back time and return to the time before the disciples fought, even if he couldn't change the outcome, he wouldn't add any bullshit prizes. He was the one who suggested adding prizes. Jun Changshao didn't even think about it. He dug a hole for himself and jumped into it happily. No one could pull him back. Under the gaze of countless people, Jun Changshao counted the banknotes while dipping his finger in his saliva. After confirming that it was 10 million taels, he smiled and put it into his spatial ring. He earned contribution points and made money again. This trip to Haoqi's sect, he could honestly say that it was worth it. Li Qingyang behind him began to think. Now that the sect master had money, he would definitely want to reform the sect. He should go back and draft a plan in advance. Look! He didn't need sect master Jun's arrangement at all. He took the initiative to integrate into the role of internal affairs. Just this awareness alone was worthy of praise. Qin Haoran returned to the opposite side with his heart bleeding. He released the anger in his body again and said angrily, "Sect Master Jun, can we fight now?" The disciple lost. He lost his dignity and lost 10 million taels. If he could keep smiling, he would be a monster. Yes. Jun Changshao replied. Just as he was about to step out, City Lord Xia advised, "Sect Master Jun, please reconsider." Yeah. Ai Shang squinted and said solemnly, "Alliance Master Qin is in a fit of anger right now. If you guys still fight with weapons, something bad will definitely happen." Jun Changshao said, "Jun is very grateful that the two of you are so concerned about Jun. But please rest assured that since I have accepted the challenge, I am confident." What confidence did a martial disciple have in fighting Wuzong? Furthermore, it was a competition of weapons. As the leader of a sect, even if Qin Haoran's grade was not too high, he would definitely have a middle-grade weapon. His cultivation base was too low. Weapons were no good. City Lord Xia and family head Ai couldn't see where the so-called confidence came from. "Sect Master Jun, are you scared? It's not too late to regret now. Alliance head Qin has already honored the bet. It would be a joke if he regrets it." The Alliance's big shots mocked and ridiculed. Sect leader Jun ignored them and walked out, standing in the middle of the martial arts practice field. Judging from his aura, Sect Master Jun is at most a peak martial disciple. He dares to fight Wuzong's Alliance head Qin. What a brave man. Alliance head Qin lost so miserably. He will definitely start a sect master battle. Since he came to Haoqi's sect, he must be prepared. Swords have no eyes. I'm afraid there will be blood. The martial artists who were watching the show discussed. They guessed that Haoqi's sect had lost face and money this time. If Qin Haoran lost his mind, he might kill Jun Changshao. They underestimated Alliance head Qin too much. Although he was incomparably angry, with Blue Mountain sect and Ai family supporting him, he wouldn't kill him. At most, he would cut off his hands. Even if they could be reattached, it would definitely affect his martial arts. Killing was the worst thing to do. The best thing to do was to make that kid unable to make any progress in martial arts. Ta! Qin Haoran also walked over. He opened his palms and the space rippled slightly. A pair of iron maces appeared out of thin air. They were light gold in color and the word "Fan" was engraved under the handle. Master Fan made weapons. Everyone exclaimed. A weapon made by a top master blacksmith in Falling Star Continent would definitely attract a lot of attention. Master Fan mainly made swords and sabers. He has only made maces once in his life. Could it be? A martial artist exclaimed, "These are the upper-grade early-stage soul-reaping maces." Everyone's eyes were suddenly filled with passion and envy. To have a middle-grade weapon made by Master Fan was worth bragging about for a lifetime. Alliance head Qin had an upper-grade weapon, and it was a maces that he had only made once in his life. Wang Donglin said, "This is a blunt weapon made by Master Fan from 1,000-years-old heavy iron. After pouring spiritual power into it, it will vibrate. If you take it head-on, the weapon will shatter if light, and the mind will be damaged if heavy. That's why it's called the soul-reaping maces." He seemed to be talking to himself, but in fact, he was talking to Jun Changshao so that he could understand the weapon well enough to adjust his tactics in time. Adjust my ass. The other party has taken out upper-grade weapons. Sect Master Jun will definitely lose. Maybe his soul will be damaged by the vibrations. City Lord Xia and AI family thought to themselves. Jun Changshao thought to himself, these soul-reaping maces are much stronger than Wei Inu's defective golden dragon saber. Sect Master Jun Qinharan said indifferently, please take out your weapon. Whoosh! Jun Changshao took a deep breath and raised his right hand, gently opening his 5 fingers. Buzz! The space became slightly blurry, and a long weapon gradually appeared. It was only when Qinharan's 5 fingers grasped the handle that it became clear. It was a huge saber that was 2 meters long. The blade took up a quarter of the saber, and the rest was the handle. The saber was dark green, and there was a dragon beast opening at the handle that connected to the blade. On both sides of the blade, there was a lifelike azure dragon. Under the sunlight, the blade flashed with a sharp light, revealing a majestic aura. This was the weapon used by Wu Sheng's Guan Yunchang Green Dragon Crescent Blade. Good saber. Wang Donglin praised. When City Lord Xia and AI Family Lord saw the Green Dragon Crescent Blade, they understood what Sect Master Jun meant. This saber must be extraordinary. The word Guan is carved on the handle. I don't think there are any blacksmiths with the surname Guan in the Falling Star continent, right? Judging from the aura of the weapon, it doesn't seem to be any weaker than Alliance Master Qin's soul-snatching double maces. Everyone discussed in low voices. They were sincerely envious of the sect master of an 8th-rate sect for having such a powerful weapon. When the Green Dragon Crescent Blade appeared, Jun Changshao grasped the cold handle of the blade, and a feeling of longing for his loved ones surged into his heart. Although he wasn't born in the era of the 3 kingdoms and had never met the righteous Guan Yunchang, he was still a Huaxia citizen. Today, he was using his weapon in another world. He was proud. Come on. As if disturbed by the loyalty and righteousness in the weapon, Jun Changshao said with a majestic aura, let's fight for 300 rounds. Swoosh! He swung his right arm and tried to lift the saber. Because of the inertia, his body leaned forward a lot, but the Green Dragon Crescent Blade didn't move at all. It was as heavy as Mount Tai. Strange. Did he use too little strength? He didn't lift it. Jun Changshao tried a few more times, but his body followed. The saber seemed to be stuck in the ground, and he couldn't lift it no matter how hard he tried. Wang Donglin, Ai Shang, Iron Bone Sect Master, Caw crows flew across the sky, and the atmosphere became extremely awkward. He couldn't even lift his own weapon in front of so many people. What a disgrace! Jun Changshao roared in his heart, what's going on? The system poured cold water on him. Although the Green Dragon Crescent Blade doesn't have a level, there should be a strength requirement. The host can't meet it, so it can't be used. Fuck! Whoosh! At this moment, Qinharan attacked with the 2 truncheons in his hands. Spiritual energy poured into the truncheons, and Jun Changshao's eyes widened. Fuck, boom! Chapter 159. Boom! A heavy sound came from the training field. The dust on the ground was blown up by the airwaves. Visibility was blocked. How terrifying! As expected of the weapon made by Master Fan. Alliance Master Qin's attack was powerful. If it was Wuzong at the same level, he wouldn't have been able to take it without strong defensive equipment. Sect Master Jun will be in trouble if he can't dodge it. Although visibility was blocked by the dust, the spectators saw that Jun Changshao was still trying to lift the saber when Alliance Master Qin attacked. Was he joking with his life if he couldn't lift the saber he summoned? Soon, the dust dispersed. Everything was visible. Jun Changshao was still standing on the spot. His face was ferocious, but he had lifted the saber and blocked Qinharan's soul-stealing twin truncheons. Wang Donglin frowned. The truncheons have the power of vibration. Sect Master Jun's mind must be affected. Xie Guangquan and AI Shangyao were worried. If Sect Master Jun's mind was affected, his combat ability would be affected. It was already hard for him to win. Now, it was one disaster after another. Humph. The leader of the Long Blade faction sneered. That kid's saber is good, but it can't be compared to Alliance Master Qin's soul-stealing twin truncheons. Judging from his ferocious expression, his mind must have been affected by the collision. His arms must be numb now. The leader of the Alliance was right. Jun Changxiao's arms were numb, but it wasn't because of the collision. It was because the saber was too heavy. My Lord Guan Yu. Isn't your weapon 82 pounds heavy? Why does it feel like Monkey King's sea-stabilizing divine needle in my hand? The system said, after being modified, the Green Dragon Crescent Blade is no longer a normal weapon. Fine. Jun Changxiao gritted his teeth and took a few steps back. He kept a distance from Qin Haoran and then gasped for breath. Although the Green Dragon Crescent Blade was heavy, it was offset by the soul-stealing twin truncheons. In other words, Jun Changxiao's ferocious expression after receiving the truncheons wasn't because his mind was injured. It was because he was too tired to lift the saber. Then, why was he able to lift the saber all of a sudden? Because when he said, fuck, he crushed the strength-increasing talisman, and his strength instantly increased by 5 times. As a peak martial disciple, he had 5 times the strength and could barely wield the Green Dragon Crescent Blade. It was obvious that the weapon was really heavy. It was because of its weight that it had such a majestic aura, and it was only then that it could counteract the power of the soul-seizing twin truncheons. If it was the primary grade cold-edge sword, not to mention whether it would break, the person would definitely be shaken to the point that his mouth would be crooked and his eyes would slanted. Sect Master Jun is very tired. It seems that the saber is quite heavy. You need to be able to wield the saber freely. It's so difficult for him to lift it up. It's useless to summon it. While the crowd was discussing, Qin Haoran did not show any mercy and attacked again with the soul-snatching truncheons. This time, he poured his spiritual energy into the truncheons and waved them down. Instantly, 2 golden streaks of light were drawn. 10,000 golden radiance. Whoosh! The soul-seizing twin maces came crashing down. With the infusion of spiritual energy, the golden light that was dragged out was dazzling, making all the spectators hold their breaths. He even used his martial techniques. Alliance Master Qin was serious this time. Wang Dongling's expression turned solemn as he thought to himself, combining spiritual energy with weapons and martial arts, his strength will reach at least 200,000 jin, 200,000 jin. For martial disciples who only had a strength of 10,000 to 20,000, it was completely unimaginable. Whoosh! The truncheons slammed down with the golden light. The pressure of the force once again rolled up a fierce wind, blowing a few strands of Jun Changxiao's black hair into a mess. Damn it! I'll fight you to the death. Sect Master Jun held the saber with both hands and poured his spiritual energy into the saber. Blue veins popped out of his muscles as he angrily shouted, "Oath of the Peach Garden!" Hua, the Green Dragon Crescent Blade was swung up. Although the speed was slightly slow, it still dragged out a crescent-shaped cyan blade shadow. Boom! The sound of metal colliding with stone was heard. Thump! Thump! Qin Haoran held the truncheons and retreated quickly. The web between his thumb and index finger was numb from the shock. A crack appeared where the cyan blade had struck the weapon. How is this possible? My weapon is a high-grade weapon made by Master Fan. Moreover, it's a blunt weapon. Its hardness is much stronger than a sword. How could it be cut open with one strike? All the martial artists were dumbfounded. Shwa! At this moment, Jun Changxiao rushed over with ghost leap steps. Blue veins bulged on his neck and forehead as he shouted, "Warm wine slaying Hua Xiong." Whoosh! The Green Dragon Crescent Blade slammed down again. Relying on ghost leap step speed and inertia, the speed of the blade was much faster than before. Boom! The sound of metal colliding with stone was heard. Qin Haoran used his weapon to block the attack. His body was once again pushed back by the shock, and a blade mark appeared on the other truncheon. Man in Chao camp, heart in Han camp. Boom! Riding 1,000 miles alone. Boom! Facing the enemy alone. Boom! Everyone was stunned. They had never heard of such a strange saber move before. This was not a saber move. It was the various deeds of Guan Yu in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. After slashing 3 times in a row, Jun Changshao dragged Ghost Shadow and circled to the left side of Qin Haoran, who was constantly retreating. He rose into the air and slashed down with his saber. Loyal and righteous, Guan Yun Chang. Boom! Crack! Crack! After taking the 5th slash, Qin Haoran's truncheons were directly cut in half. Hiss! Seeing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. A high-grade weapon made by Master Fan. With the support of a Wuzong's spiritual energy, it was cut in half like chopsticks in just 5 slashes. This was simply terrifying. Schwa, although the truncheons were broken, the Green Dragon Crescent Blade's power did not diminish and slash down. Not good. Qin Haoran turned pale with fright. He could not care less about his weapon and demeanor. He hurriedly used his movement technique to escape. Although his movements were fast, he still could not escape the blade aura that came first. With a poochie sound, a deep cut appeared on his back and blood gushed out. The burst of majestic momentum caused Qin Haoran to rush forward violently. In the end, he was forced out of the training field and fell to the ground with his face on the ground. This was because he ran fast. Otherwise, if he was hit by the Green Dragon Crescent Blade head-on, his body would definitely be cut in half. Clank! The 2 broken truncheons fell to the ground. Schwa! Jun Changshao held the Green Dragon Crescent Blade in front of him, and the ground caved in from the impact. With his other hand, he stroked the 5 locks of long beard that pretended to exist under his chin and said arrogantly, "Thank you for letting me win." The entire training field was silent. Not only was Alliance Master Qin defeated, but his weapon was also broken and his back was cut. This was simply too frightening. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the side mission. You have received 200 Sect contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 500500. Schwa! Jun Changshao kept the Green Dragon Crescent Blade in his interspatial ring and said with cupped fists, "Alliance Master Qin, today I came to your sect to spar and discuss the Tao. Jun benefited a lot. I won't disturb you any longer." His disciples won, and he won too. Prestige, banknotes, and contribution points were all there. There was no point in staying here, so he left with his disciples in a carefree manner. Xie Guankuan, Ai Shangyao, and the others followed. They were worried that Haoqi sect wouldn't be able to swallow their anger and would block the door to prevent them from leaving. Watching Jun Changshao leave with his disciples, the expressions of the alliance's big shots and martial artists froze. They felt as if they were in a dream. Haoqi sect had lost today. They had lost completely. They didn't even need to think about it. When the news spread in Azure Sun County, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. At that time, Iron Bone's name would definitely resound throughout the 8 cities. Sigh. The Alliance's big shots sighed in frustration. Qin Haoran, who had sealed his wounds with spiritual energy to stop the blood from flowing, clenched his fists tightly and roared unwillingly, "Jun Changshao, my Haoqi sect and your Iron Bone are irreconcilable." Chapter 160. The 7 disciples were all defeated, the plaque in the main hall was broken, and they had to pay 10 million taels. The sect leader's weapon was broken, and he was also injured. All of the above was enough to show that the Grand Spirit sect was completely defeated today. Not only did they lose people and money, but they also lost the dignity of a 6th-rate sect. Jun Changshao. My Grand Spirit sect and your Iron Bone sect are irreconcilable. Qin Haoran endured the pain caused by the injury on his back. His eyes were bloodshot. He lost in the competition and lost face. However, all the martial artists were still watching. He had to say something ruthless because this was the rule of Jianghu. If there weren't so many people here, Alliance leader Qin might have been lying on the ground with his head on his arm, crying like a child. Damn it! It hurt his pride too much. He couldn't accept it. There was nothing he could do. It was Jun Changshao who came to cause trouble, not him. He couldn't avoid it. He could only say that he brought this upon himself. The Spirit Springs sect hired bandits and assassins. They were in the wrong and were killed by Jun Changshao. Wouldn't it be better if he pretended not to know? He had to kneel and lick the Holy Spring sect's boots, and bring the Alliance members to the Star Moon Pavilion for a trial. There was nothing wrong with Qin Haran kneeling and licking a fifth-rate sect, but he had to fan the flames in front of the 3 elders of the Holy Spring sect. Jun Changshao had to deal with this kind of person. If he didn't do anything, it would only make things worse. Sect leader Jun didn't play any tricks. He just brought his disciples to challenge you and defeated you in front of everyone. He stepped on your dignity. Who could find fault with that? Old Tai, there was nothing wrong with that. At the foot of the Grand Spirit sect, Jun Changshao, who had just walked down, felt his body go soft. He swayed and collapsed. Xiao Ziji was quick to react. He hurriedly supported him and asked worriedly, "Sect leader, are you okay?" I'm fine." Jun Changshao's face was pale. He said weakly, "Let's go back to the sect." Wang Donglin, who was following behind, said, "Sect leader Jun's saber should not be low. High grade." He used it forcefully with a martial disciple cultivation, but his body didn't collapse. "It's really lucky." Jun Changshao fell silent. Although he was able to lift the green dragon crescent blade with the enhancement of the strength enhancement rune, the 5 consecutive slashes had drained all the spiritual energy and physical strength inside the cyclone. He was completely exhausted. Walking down from the Grand Qi sect, he was also stubbornly holding on. Who? Jun Changshao took a deep breath and thought to himself, "Fortunately, I managed to force Qin Haran out of the training field. Otherwise, I would be the one in trouble." Relying on the Green Dragon Crescent blade bought with 200 contribution points, coupled with the strength-increasing talisman, he barely managed to defeat rank 1 Wuzong. It could be seen that it was too difficult to defeat rank 1 Wuzong with a gap of 2 ranks. It was more than difficult. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. At that time, if Qin Haran didn't care about his weapon being chipped by the saber and took the initiative to attack, Jun Changshao would definitely be in a tragic situation. Because the saber was too heavy, it would have a great impact. In short, sect leader Jun had won this battle by a fluke. After returning to the sect, I must let the disciples increase their cultivation as soon as possible and then do the epic missions to increase their own ranks. Jun Changshao thought to himself. The system said, according to the host's strength at that time, you would need at least 150,000 gene to barely be able to use it. 150,000 gene was barely enough? Jun Changshao said speechlessly, "This godly modified green dragon crescent blade is really scary." Ding! The host has spent 20 contribution points and obtained elementary strength increasing talisman X1. It has been transferred into the space ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 480500. The Green Dragon Crescent blade required enough strength. As long as the strength-increasing talisman didn't have a cooldown, he would definitely buy it immediately in case of an emergency. The blade is really strong. I wonder how strong the special effects will be if the soul of Wusheng is activated. Jun Changshao thought to himself. The system said, the host is currently unable to use the Green Dragon Crescent blade normally. Don't think about activating the special effects for now. That's true, that's true. If the special effects were too strong and he couldn't keep up, his body would explode. That would be too much of a joke. Sect Master Jun, when they reached the crossroads, Master AI cupped his hands and said, "I'm going back to Huyang City. I'll take my leave here. Goodbye." Jun Changshao didn't have any strength and could only weakly say that. AI Shang glanced at Wang Donglin and left. On the way, he thought to himself, the Iron Bone disciple is so strong. he must have taken the body-shaping pill. When I go back, I must raise the starting price. He was sure that Li Qingyang and the others had taken the body-shaping pill to be able to fight above their level. Therefore, he was prepared to do something big. Xie Guangquan, Master Li, and the others went with Jun Changshao. Because they were quite far from Qingyang City and were walking on a small mountain path, they found a clean cave to rest after dark. Jun Changshao sat down cross-legged and activated body metamorphosis scripture to replenish his consumed spiritual energy. Xiao Ziji held the Type 88 sniper rifle and hid on a tree outside the cave. Occasionally, he would lean on the 8x scope and observe his surroundings. The 10 members of Drizzle Hall were scattered in the dark. Even if a mouse slipped past, they would be able to catch it. Li Qingyang and Su Xiaoma guarded the cave entrance. Tian Qi and Li Fei surrounded the sect leader, providing absolute protection. Seeing that they were facing a great enemy, Xie Guangquan sat in front of the fire and laughed. Qin Haoren is a reputable person after all. He won't use despicable methods to ambush us. Jun Changshao's spiritual energy and stamina had recovered quite a bit. He opened his eyes and said, Mayor Xia, it's better to be vigilant when we're outside. He wasn't worried about Qin Haoren. He was worried about the other big shots of the 100 Sect Alliance and the 2 groups of assassins. The news of him challenging the Grand Qi sect had spread throughout Qingyang County. Those who had ill intentions towards him must have received the news or had already made plans to assassinate him. Bang! Suddenly, gunshots came from outside the cave. Mayor Xia, Master Li, and the others who were sitting in front of the fire were shocked by the loud explosion. Jun Changshao said, let's go out and take a look. Yes. Li Qingyang and Su Xiaoma left the cave. Mayor Xia hurriedly followed. Tian Qi and Li Fei approached the sect leader, worried that something unexpected would happen. Lu Qianqian leaned against the stone wall behind Jun Changshao. Her hand was already on the sheath of her sword. Her eyes flashed with coldness. Zhou Hong stood up and hugged his sword. He walked out of the cave and stood at the entrance. The calmest person was still Yi Xingchen. He was lying in the haystack as if nothing had happened. The originally calm cave instantly became serious when the Type 88 sniper rifle rang out. This also caused Master Li and the others to become serious. Shua! Not long after, Li Qingyang and Su Xiaoma returned. They threw a corpse on the ground and said, Sect leader, there's only one person. Search. Okay. Su Xiaoma searched the body and said, Sect leader, there's nothing on him. Nothing at all. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, could it be that he's in cahoots with the group of assassins outside Liang City? In the darkness of the forest, several men in black moved quickly and carefully gathered together. Big brother, old 3 has been killed. A man in black said with a hoarse voice. This iron bone is very cautious. We can't act rashly, otherwise we will definitely die under the god-powered firearms. The man in black called Boss said in a low voice. So many brothers went to the iron bone, but none of them returned. They must have died under this kind of concealed weapon. Someone said angrily. Big brother, what do we do now? Retreat first and think of another plan. Yes. Rustle, rustle, rustle. 5 men in black left under the cover of the night and the complicated terrain. From their actions, these people were clearly trained assassins. However, the brothers would never have dreamed that no matter how they hid or how they retreated, they would still be targeted by the members of the Drizzle Hall in the dark. Your profession? Sorry, compared to the gold medal assassins of the Drizzle Hall, they were still much weaker. Chapter 161. When Xiao Ziji shot and killed one of the assassins, the people of Drizzle Hall caught him in advance and successfully followed the other 5 assassins. We are professional assassins. If we let you rookies escape under our noses, how can we face the sect master and hall master? The next day, Jun Changshao's spiritual energy and physical strength recovered quite well. He woke up early and stood outside the cave to breathe in the fresh air and do some stretching exercises. There is no pollution, there is spiritual energy. He sighed. Those who live here, even if they are ordinary people, have a lifespan of around 200 to 300 years. Humans in a high-level martial arts world would condense spiritual energy after opening their meridians, and their lifespan would increase. Sect Master Jun worked hard to complete the main mission because he didn't want to die young. After all, 100 years here was barely 30 years on Earth. Shwa shwa. Li Qingyang walked out of the forest and took out the mark left by the people of Drizzle Hall. Sect Master, they already have their eyes on them. Jun Changshao said indifferently, I want to see how you guys can hide and seek. Return to the sect. Yes. After a night of rest, everyone continued on their way. When they reached a certain intersection in Qingyang City, City Lord Xia and the Li family head bid farewell and left. Jun Changshao was very grateful that they came to support him. Before leaving, he generously gave each of them a body sculpting pill. It can increase the strength of the body? Could it be the body sculpting pill sold by the AI family head? My god, how close is Sect Master Jun and the AI family? That's why he got the pill that hasn't been auctioned yet. The family heads who were walking back to the city were shocked. Everyone. Xie Guanquan stopped and said in a low voice. Please don't forget that Sect Master Jun gave you the pill. The family heads were all experienced and understood what he meant. They hurriedly said, City Lord, don't worry. Only you, I, and the heavens will know about this. Sect Master, Senior Brother and the others are back. The quiet iron bone was instantly broken by Sima Zhongda's shout. When Jun Changshao brought 8 people through the sect protecting array and entered the sect, the disciples stopped cultivating and surrounded them to ask about the battle. Beat them 7-0? Oh my god, this is too awesome. Mighty sect leader, mighty senior brother. On the martial arts practice field, the Iron Bone disciples cheered excitedly. Do. Jun Changshao was in a good mood as he said, let's cook a few dozen dishes tonight and prepare some good wine to celebrate. Prestige, money, and contribution points. This trip to the Haoqi sect was a great harvest. How could he not drink to his heart's content with the disciples? Yes. Lu Wancher didn't even bother to cultivate. She brought Ma Yongning, and Blackie to the cafeteria to prepare the ingredients for the banquet tonight. In the study, Jun Changshao had just sat down, and before he could even take a sip of tea, Li Luoqiu, who was wearing a sexy school uniform, walked in. She smiled and said, Sect leader, you're really amazing. She had received news early in the morning that her disciples had won all 7 battles and that the sect leader had chopped Qin Haoren to the ground with a saber. At that time, Li Luoqiu's first reaction was a bit confused. Although she didn't want Jun Changshao to go and cause trouble and end up in failure, a 6th-rate sect was not to be trifled with. Since he had gone, he should have lost at least 2 or 3 battles. In the end, it was a 7-0 victory. If she didn't have absolute trust in her subordinates, Hall Master Li would have suspected that the information was wrong. Jun Changshao took a sip of tea and put down the cup. He crossed his legs and said, My Iron Bone will eventually become the strongest sect. This is just a normal operation. His acting was natural and flawless. Li Luoqiu sat down and smiled. It seems that I made a very wise choice to rely on the sect leader. From sect leader Jun's point of view, this woman was looking at him from the side, so he hurriedly looked away and said, Is there any movement from the Shao family? There is. When it came to business, Li Luoqiu's charming face was replaced with seriousness. She said, On the day sect leader went to the Haoqi sect, the Shao family's great elder disappeared. Disappeared? Jun Changshao was stunned. Li Luoqiu said, The Shao family's great elder has a habit. Every morning, he will go to the Qingya residence to drink tea, but after going in that day, he never came out. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, Have you investigated the Qingya residence? Yes, Li Luoqiu said, it is one of the Shao family's properties. It is difficult for martial artists without status to enter. Jun Changshao said, what do you think? Recently, I have sent people to investigate the Shao family's training base, but there has been no news. Li Luoqiu paused for a moment and said, this Qingya residence may be a secret base. Jun Changshao agreed. It is possible. Li Luoqiu said, I have sent people to keep an eye on it. What does sect leader plan to do? Wait. Wait for what? Wait for news from Little B and the others. Little B was the leader of the 10 gold-ranked assassins last night. He was once one of the 4 ace assassins in the Drizzle building, second only to Scorpion and Lynx. After Jun Changshao learned of his nickname, he even shouted to him, 2 little bees, flying among the flowers. Li Luoqiu said, it seems that sect leader has been targeted by assassins this time. Jun Changshao drank a mouthful of tea and said with hatred, don't let me find out who it is, or I will kill him. Being targeted by assassins all the time, no matter how good his temper was, he could not stand it. As long as Little B and the others could touch the melon, they would definitely cut it down and taste whether it was sweet or not. Night came. The dining hall was brightly lit. Every table was filled with food and wine. Jun Changshao raised his bowl and said, to this triumphant return, cheers. Sect leader is mighty. All the disciples raised their bowls and drank to their heart's content. Elder Wei also came. He sat alone in a corner and lightly sipped his wine. Looking at the group of youngsters, his turbid eyes were filled with reminiscence. Weizi, I want to build a sect. Do you want to work with me? Ha ha ha, we finally found a mountain. Let's start our sect here. Weizi, from today onwards, I am the sect leader, and you are the vice sect leader. Let's work together and do something big. The memories that had been sealed for a long time appeared in his mind. It made Elder Wei feel like he had returned to the age when he was around the same age as these children. Time was like a flying knife, and each knife made him old, Grandpa Wei. Lu Wancher had unknowingly sat in front of him. She held her cheeks with both hands and blinked. Why are you crying? Elder Wei smiled. It's a bit spicy. Lu Wancher pouted. Grandpa Wei, the food you ate was specially made by Du. There was no chili at all. Ah. Elder Wei raised his bowl and said, it's the wine is spicy. Lu Wancher frowned and advised, Grandpa Wei, you are old and should drink less. If you leave, pfff. Elder Wei spat out his wine and almost stomped his feet to leave. Children's words carry no harm, children's words carry no harm. Iron Bone disciples usually cultivated very hard. It was rare for them to indulge themselves today. They had a drinking competition with their fellow sect members in the canteen. Jun Changshao was holding a bowl of wine, his feet on a stool as he watched them play with great pleasure. Sect leader. Li Luoqiu walked over and whispered, Little B has news. So fast? Jun Changshao used his spirit energy to dispel the drunkenness and came to the study. Li Luoqiu reported the news. Little B and the rest of the 5 assassins in the wild entered Liang City. They dressed up as servants and entered Qingya residence. Jun Changshao interlocked his fingers and rested his chin on them. He sneered. So, Qingya residence is the Shao family's assassin base. They are also the ones who ambushed outside Liang City. Damn it. They are really playing mind games with me. If I didn't subdue Drizzle building, I wouldn't even know where they are if I were to die. Hall Master Li, listen to my orders. Shua. Li Luoqiu took 2 steps back and waited for the order. Jun Changshao's eyes were cold. Tomorrow night, destroy Qingya residence. Leave no one alive. Understood. Let Zui Ji follow. This. Li Luoqiu said, after all, he is a member of the Shao family. It is a bit inappropriate to let him go. Jun Changshao said, do you think the Shao family assassins want to assassinate me? Li Luoqiu was silent for a moment. I understand. The Shao family is targeting Shao Ziji. How much hatred do they have that they won't let go of their own people? Gotcha! Jun Changshao clenched his fist and the teacup shattered. They dare to touch my iron bone disciples. Not to mention Qingya residents, I will even dare to destroy the Shao family. The coldness was oppressive and murderous. Night fell in Liang City. The waiter in Qingya residence was busy closing the door. But just as he was about to close the door, a graceful lady blocked the door with her hand and smiled. Little brother, is this Qingya residence? This lady was beautiful and had a hot body. Any man who saw her couldn't help but take a few more glances. But the waiter was slightly stunned. He said coldly, "Sorry, we are closed." "You don't want to do business?" The lady smiled. The waiter said, "My humble shop is closed. If you want to drink tea, come back tomorrow." The lady didn't leave. She blinked and smiled. "Little brother, the business I am talking about is not drinking tea, but taking a life." Taking a life? The waiter's eyes turned cold. Pucci, a cold light flashed and mercilessly cut his neck. Li Luoqiu, who was holding the lancet knife, walked into the shop valiantly. Dozens of her subordinates in the dark followed and disposed of the corpse. Then, they closed the door of Qingya residence. It was a moonless and windy night. Murder and arson. Chapter 162. Thoughts on publishing. The text has nothing to do with the plot, study room, bathroom. Sect Master, bad news. Li Qingyang pushed the door open and said, "The strongest sect of all ages will be published tomorrow at 12:30. Jun Changshao, who was wearing a mask and taking a bubble bath, opened his eyes slightly and said, "What's the big deal?" Li Qingyang collapsed. "Publishing means spending money, there will definitely be a lot of readers who want to leave." Jun Changshao fiddled with the mask and said, "Treat it normally." "That." Li Qingyang said weakly, "Sect Master, can you put down the knife first?" "Voila!" Jun Changshao stood up from the bathtub, pointed the knife at the screen and roared, "You want to leave? Do you believe that I will kill you right now?" "Sect Master, calm down, calm down." Li Qingyang hurriedly dissuaded and used a bath towel to cover the indescribable part to prevent it from appearing in the camera. "Who?" Jun Changshao threw away the knife, put on the Sect Master uniform, tied up his black hair, and said, "Publish it tomorrow. Gather all the disciples. Firstly, thank the readers who continue to support Iron Bone, and secondly, send off the readers who are about to abandon the book." "Yes." Cafeteria hall. It was full of ribbons and balloons, and the dining tables were put together to leave enough space in front, making it look like a party. The first to enter was the female representative. Li Luoqiu walked into the cafeteria, took out the Desert Eagle from her waist, and pretended to shoot at the camera. She smiled sweetly and said, "Is it accurate?" Lu Qianqian walked in. She did not look at the camera, and her face was still as cold as ever. Ling Yuanxue shrank her head and walked over, trying to look at the camera. Her eyes avoided looking at the camera and said, Can you stay?" Lu Wancher jumped into the camera and made a face. She giggled and said, "Big brother, big sister, if you stay, I will take care of your meals. If you want to leave, I have already prepared a farewell meal." Jun Changshao pushed her out of the camera with one hand, adjusted his collar, and leaned his whole face in front of the camera. The song, "Two Springs Reflect the Moon," began to play. Sect leader Jun brewed his emotions for a while, and with tears in his eyes, he looked at the camera and said, "The strongest sect of all ages will be published at 12:30 tomorrow. If you don't support me, the author won't be able to make me more handsome. Can you do me the honor of subscribing?" As he spoke, he suddenly waved the camera with a ferocious expression and said, "Follow him, follow him. The sect leader has gone mad. Quick, drag him away." "No, I'm not crazy. I'm very sober. Feed the sect leader the medicine." "I'm not crazy. I'm not taking any medicine." Jun Changshao was dragged away by Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji. His eyes were still wide open as he roared at the screen, "They are crazy. Someone wants to harm me. Protect me. Protect me. I'm sorry." Su Xiaoma appeared in the camera. He cupped his hands and said, "Sect leader didn't take his medicine on time. Sorry for scaring everyone." Shwa! A golden right foot blocked the camera. Li Fei said, "If you want to leave, I don't mind." Tian Qi pushed him away and said, "Hurry and feed the sect leader the medicine." Outside the camera, sect leader Jun's roar could still be heard. "I'm not crazy. I'm not taking any medicine." Yi Xingchen walked in and stopped in front of the camera. He raised his hand and pointed at the camera. He said coldly, "Vulgar mortal, stay." After tying up the sect leader, Xiao Ziji came in front of the camera and said seriously, "Whether a book is worth the money or not, it's not up to the author or the sect leader to decide. It's up to you." "That's right." Li Qingyang smiled and said, "The story has just begun. We don't want everyone to leave." Zhou Hong appeared in front of the camera. He had one hand on his sword. "Don't let him draw his sword." Jun Changshao said in shock, "Otherwise, the streaming camera I spent so much effort to buy will be cut down." Long Xiang and Li Yuhua hurriedly pulled this sword cultivator genius away. Li Tiantian, Sima Zhongda, and the other new disciples, as well as the sect's imperial herbalist, Elder Wei, all walked into the cafeteria. The cafeteria accommodated more than 200 disciples with dreams. Jun Changshao, who had taken the medicine, was untied. He said, "It's been 2 months since the release of the strongest sect of all time. Thank you for your company during the summer vacation. Thank you for your recommendation tickets. Thank you for your support. For the readers who abandoned the book, let's eat this farewell meal together." Shwa! Shwa! The table was filled with delicacies. The disciples ate happily. For the readers who stayed, let's drink this bowl of 1982 Sprite together. Gulp, gulp. After the meal, Jun Changshao brought the disciples to the martial arts practice field. Then, he gave the camera one by one. Except for a few who were cold and aloof, most of them smiled and waved at the camera. "Take a group photo as a memento." The disciples lined up, forming a few rows below and a few rows above. Jun Changshao sat on the 1,000-year-old Phoebe chair in the middle. He pointed at the camera and said, "This Jianghu is more exciting with your company. 1, 2, 3. Eggplant. Paw." A family photo of the Iron Bone disciples in the early stage appeared. When they were unhappy, they thought about the happy story. The camera moved up, and the magnificent hull gradually showed the words, "Iron Bone," in gold. Then, it turned to the door, and the plaque hanging above had the words, "Gay Iron Bone Clan" written on it. Suddenly, on the martial arts practice field, a man wearing a cloak came with a shovel. He gently raised his head, tilted his head, pointed at the camera with his index finger, and said in a cold tone, "Brother, are you leaving?" Jun Changshao almost fell from his chair. He said in surprise, "Sect. Sect leader Wang." With this chapter, I would like to thank the readers who supported this book but had to leave because of their financial ability. I would also like to thank the readers who voted, donated, and continued to support. The strongest sect of all time is more exciting with you around. Chapter 163. Xiao Ziji came to this operation, but he did not enter the elegant residence. He stood on a tree branch with a heavy heart, holding the Type 88 sniper rifle. Opposite was the family property. In the past, when he was still in his glory, he often came here to drink tea and was surrounded by a group of flattering cousins. However, who would have thought that it would be an assassin's stronghold? Who would have thought that one of the groups of assassins that appeared one after another would be from the Xiao family? In the Iron Bone, Xiao Ziji, who was full of confidence and hope for the future, was once again hit hard in his heart. "Banished me. Why do you still want to kill me? Why? Why is this?" Xiao Ziji's left hand tightly held the cold Type 88 sniper rifle. That kind of sadness and anger filled his heart. Jun Changshao also came. He sat on a tree branch next to him. Seeing his disciple's arm trembling, he said, "Sinful self, from the day you were banished, you were destined to be trash in the eyes of the Xiao family." Sect leader, Xiao Ziji's voice was hoarse. It was obviously difficult to control his emotions. Jun Changshao said, "Because they can't accept that a trash that was banished will rise again. This will make them feel that their previous actions were extremely stupid. In order to not let themselves be stupid, only by erasing you can continue to be stupid in the dream." Jun Changshao's analysis was spot on. After Xiao Ziji won the Great Intersect Tournament, the Xiao family could not accept it. They could not allow the trash that was banished to become strong again. Since he had been labeled as trash, he could either continue to be trash like an ant or die. Sinful self. Jun Changshao said, "You have to learn to accept reality and make yourself stronger in setbacks." Who? Xiao Ziji took a deep breath. His state of mind gradually calmed down. "Also remember," Jun Changshao said in a deep voice, "true family is not the so-called blood, but the ones who are good to you, the ones who care about you. Those who want to harm you can only be enemies." He would not let his disciples become cold-blooded and heartless killers, nor would he instill the idea of a Virgin Mary that others wanted to kill you and had to be reformed. What's more, the Xiao family didn't care about blood ties. If he had the intention to kill Xiao Ziji and wanted to use love to influence him, then he would be a fucking retard. Of course. It was not impossible to influence him, but he could not use love. He had to use his fists. If he could reform them until they were comfortable and cried for their parents, then there would be nothing wrong with it. Xiao Ziji's gaze was cold as he said, "Sect leader, I understand. They banished me and wanted to take my life. Even if we share the same bloodline, we are enemies and not family." Elegant residence. Li Luoqiu brought her people in. An assassin disguised as a servant walked in from the inner courtyard and said, "Jiu Zi, close the door, Shua." Viper appeared behind him and covered his mouth with one hand. The dagger cleanly slit his neck. Li Luoqiu waved her hand, and Mountain Cat and the other members sneaked into the inner courtyard. Then, they sealed off all possible escape routes. The leader of Drizzle Building personally brought people here. She was definitely a professional. Hall leader. Viper lowered his voice and said, "There's nothing special about the inner courtyard." Li Luoqiu sat on the table and drank a mouthful of tea. "There should be a secret room. Search carefully." "Yes." Viper brought her subordinates and quietly searched under the night sky. There was a secret room under the elegant residence. It was very spacious. There was a hall, a training room, and many weapons and hidden weapons hung on the walls. It could be said to be very professional. Big Brother, Iron Bone's God-powered gun is too powerful. If we are discovered, it will be hard to escape. A bearded man sat in the meeting room and said. He was one of the 5 assassins targeted by Little B in the wild. He was also one of the leaders of the elegant residence. The one who called him Big Brother was a thin middle-aged man with triangular eyes and a mustache. He was wearing a butler's uniform. His eyes flashed with coldness. One look and you could tell that he was not a good person. If Xiao Ziji was here, he would definitely recognize that this was the Xiao family's external affairs butler, Xiao Shanhai, the great elder's right-hand man. He was secretly responsible for training the assassins in the residence. He was also the one who assigned the assassination missions to the higher-ups. I didn't expect an 8th-rate sect to be able to deal a heavy blow to the Haoqi sect. This is unbelievable. Xiao Shanhai touched his mustache. Yeah. The bearded man said, everyone thought that Iron Bone would be brutally beaten up by the Haoqi sect. But in the end, they defeated the Haoqi sect by 7-0. Alliance Master Qin was even injured. At this moment, he was secretly glad that he retreated in time the night before. Otherwise, if he was discovered by Iron Bone, it would not be just one assassin who would die. Great Elder's orders. Xiao Shanhai said in a low voice, Iron Bone is a little tricky. Cancel all assassination plans. No one is allowed to go out. Understood. The bearded man said. Xiao Shanhai tapped his finger on the table and said, Actually, I feel that we don't have to do it ourselves. We can just ask the Drizzle building to assassinate that trash. Big brother, the Spirit Spring Mountain hired assassins from the Drizzle building, but they still couldn't do anything to Iron Bone. The bearded man said. Humph, Xiao Shanhai said in disdain, the Wei brothers underestimated the enemy too much. They are too stupid. If we want to ask, we will ask the ace assassins from the Drizzle building. It will be absolutely foolproof. Hearing the words ace assassins, the bearded man's eyes were filled with admiration. The ace assassins of the Drizzle building were known as the elites of the elites. Although he was secretly trained by the Shao family, he was still an assassin. He was in awe of the elites in the same field. He also hoped to reach their level. It's decided then. Xiao Shanhai said, I will go back and talk to the Great Elder. If he agrees, you will follow me to the Drizzle building's headquarters tomorrow. No need. Suddenly, a sound came from the stairs leading up. Li Luoqiu led Viper and the rest down. She smiled and said, I have come personally. Shwa shwa shwa. Someone suddenly entered the basement. The Shao family assassins in the room quickly rushed out with hidden weapons in their hands. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. TSK, Viper snorted in disdain. This posture of preparing to throw hidden weapons was not good enough. Xiao Shanhai squinted his eyes and looked at her. He said in surprise, You are, the Drizzle building's master. What? Drizzle building's master? The 20 assassins were stunned. The Great Elder of the Shao family bought a set of training methods from the Drizzle building's master. They became assassins because of this. Thinking about it carefully, they could call her master now. After knowing the identity of the person who came, the 20 assassins immediately relaxed. To be exact, they did not dare to act rashly in front of the master of assassins. Li Luoqiu walked into the hall. She put one hand on the table and smiled, If I remember correctly, you should be the external affairs manager of the Shao family? That's right. Xiao Shanhai stood up and cupped his hands politely, I am Xiao Shanhai. I went to your building with the Great Elder in the past. Li Luoqiu smiled and said, Manager Xiao, I would like to correct what you just said. Correct? Xiao Shanhai was confused. Li Luoqiu took out the Desert Eagle and spun it around her fingers. She smiled and said, My current identity is not the Drizzle building's master, but the Ironbone Upright Sect's hall master. Xiao Shanhai was stunned. The bearded man's reaction was very fast. The hidden weapons in his sleeves immediately fell. However, before he could move, Li Luoqiu raised her hand. The Desert Eagle stopped spinning and aimed at him. With a bang, it directly shot through his head. Master of Assassins, clean and efficient. P.S. Let me try first, can I post a VIP chapter? Chapter 164. Plop. The bearded man fell to the ground. Blood splashed on Xiao Shanhai's face, scaring him so much that he almost fell to the ground. A chill ran down his spine from the soles of his feet. The assassin leader that he had carefully trained was instantly killed with a bang. Boss! Seeing that the bearded man was killed, the assassins were furious. They were about to throw the hidden weapons in their hands, swoosh swoosh swoosh. Viper and the others were faster than them. All kinds of darts and hidden weapons were thrown. Plop! Plop! In an instant, more than 20 assassins from the Shao clan fell to the ground. Before they died, they didn't forget to sigh in their hearts. He is indeed an expert. Seeing that all his subordinates were killed, Xiao Shanhai's eyes were filled with fear. His legs were trembling violently because the Desert Eagle was already on his head. Manager Xiao. Li Luoqiu smiled and said, Of all the people you could provoke, You had to provoke my iron bone. Don't kill me. Xiao Shanhai's voice was trembling. His eyes were filled with the greatest fear of death. No one wanted to die. How good would it be to live? Li Luoqiu moved her gun down and said expressionlessly, Sect Master said that this assassin base of the Shao clan will not be left alive. So, go on your way, bang. The bullet pierced through his chest. Blood splattered on the wall. Plop. The Shao clan's external affairs chief fell straight down. At the moment of his death, he was still wondering how an organization like the Drizzle Building became Iron Bone's people. How did the Drizzle Building's leader become the Hall Master? Since he couldn't figure it out, he could only go to the underworld to figure it out. The assassin base of the Shao clan that used the elegant residence as a cover was completely eradicated by Li Luoqiu's swift and decisive methods. Because it was in the basement, the ceiling effect was excellent. The martial artists in the city wouldn't even dream that dozens of people would die in the elegant residence tonight. To be honest, the assassins of the Shao clan were too amateur. If it wasn't for the Sect Master's death order that they must be eradicated, the Drizzle Hall wouldn't have sent so many members. Shwa! Shwa! Li Luoqiu led her subordinates and jumped out from the backyard. She landed on a tree and said, the Shao clan's external affairs chief is in charge of the assassin base. Xiao Shanhai. Xiao Ziji's gaze turned cold. Jun Changshao said, you know him. Xiao Ziji gritted his teeth and said, when my aptitude regressed, he humiliated and made things difficult for me in the family. Jun Changshao said, bring that guy over here. Since he dared to bully my disciple, I must torture him and make him wish he was dead. Li Luoqiu said, I shot him dead. Dead? Jun Changshao shook his head and said, he got off easy. Li Luoqiu asked, what should we do next? Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, take all the corpses away and set fire to the elegant residence. Carrying away the corpses and burning down the elegant residence was to make the Shao clan uneasy. Understood. Li Luoqiu was about to give the order. Jun Changshao stopped him and said, Zui Ji, this fire will be set by you. Burning it is equivalent to burning all ties with the Shao clan. N. Xiao Ziji nodded and jumped down. Li Luoqiu ordered the members to take away Xiao Shanhai and the dozens of assassins' corpses and quickly disappeared into the night. It could be said that they came in a hurry and left in a hurry. Ho ho. Xiao Ziji stood in front of the elegant residence with a torch in his hand. The light from the torch shone on his expressionless face. Shao clan. Today, I, Xiao Ziji, will sever all ties with you. Shwa! The torch was thrown into the elegant residence. The flames burned the counters and furniture, instantly forming an unstoppable fire. Jun Changshao stood on the city wall and looked at the rising fire. He looked at the disciples who left and said, Zui Ji, you only have one identity now. You are a disciple of the Iron Bone clan. There's a fire. The elegant residence is on fire. The fire that dyed half of the city red startled the martial artists who were sleeping soundly in the surroundings. They all rushed out of their rooms. After the Shao clan received the news, they immediately sent a large number of direct disciples to put out the fire. Unfortunately, no matter how much water was splashed, it couldn't extinguish the powerful flames. After dawn, the elegant residence was turned into ruins. Damn it! The first elder of the Shao clan, who was standing in the charred ruins, said angrily, who did this? There were so many assassins in the basement. It was impossible for a fire to happen for no reason. Someone must have done it on purpose. First elder. The second elder walked over and said softly, there are bloodstains in the secret room. Our people are gone. The first elder of the Shao clan clenched his fists tightly. At this moment, he could guess that since the tea house was burned and Xiao Shanhai and the assassins that he had painstakingly trained disappeared, they must be dead. Who did it? Who did it? The first elder of the Shao clan could only roar in his heart. He didn't dare to show too much anger on his face because the elegant residence was just a property in the eyes of outsiders. The news of the elegant residence being burned to ashes in the fire instantly spread in Liang City and became a hot topic. No one would believe that it was an accident. It must have been done on purpose. Therefore, after in-depth discussion, the conclusion was that the Shao clan had offended someone. Who did they offend? This wasn't easy to guess. After all, no one had seen the culprit. Shao clan, main hall. Several elders gathered together. Their faces were filled with anger, anxiety, and confusion. It could be said that it was quite colorful. They had spent a lot of money to buy the assassin training method from the Drizzle building. After a few years of training, they had gradually formed a large scale. In the end, it was gone. This was definitely a heavy blow. What was more tragic was that they still didn't know who did it. "Paw!" The second elder slammed the table angrily and said, "First elder, this matter must be investigated thoroughly." The third elder said, "We don't know who did it. How can we investigate?" The fourth elder said cautiously, "The other party dared to burn down the elegant residence. They might not be afraid of our Shao clan." This sentence calmed the angry elders down instantly. The fifth elder said with a serious expression, "The person who did it dared to burn down the elegant residence and didn't leave a corpse behind. They definitely didn't come with good intentions." The first elder, who had been silent all this time, said, "Could it be Ironbone?" He thought for a long time but couldn't think of who the Shao clan had offended recently. He could only guess that the assassination of Shao Ziji had been discovered by Ironbone. The second elder said, "Ironbone's sect leader just came back from challenging the Haoqi sect. Did he have the time to do it?" The first elder fell into deep thought. To be honest, he hoped that it wasn't Ironbone. This eighth-rate sect was really not simple to defeat the Haoqi sect. The first elder said, "We will discuss this matter again after the clan leader comes out of seclusion." "Okay." All the elders nodded. However, they didn't know that Jun Changshao, who had returned to Ironbone, was still carrying out the second step of his plan. Destroying the elegant residence was just the beginning. Sect leader Jun had to use different methods to take revenge on the Shao clan. After thinking for a while, he said, "Luo Qiu, investigate all the properties of the Shao clan in Qingyang County in the shortest time possible." Li Luoqiu said, "What does sect leader want to do?" Jun Changshao sneered, "A clan's biggest lifeline is its properties. Only economic sanctions can give them a fatal blow." "Understood," Li Luoqiu said. "And that Shao clan's first elder?" Jun Changshao said indifferently, "Keep a close eye on him." Shao Shanhai was only the chief of external affairs. This so-called first elder was definitely the real mastermind. If all his lackeys were dead, how could he live? Chapter 165. Jun Changshao wouldn't destroy the Shao family. After all, they were a family in Liang City and there was no evidence to prove that they had tried to assassinate him. However, he could use other methods to take revenge. The members of the Drizzle Hall were very efficient. In just 2 days, they brought back a lot of information. The Shao family has a lot of businesses. Li Luoqiu reported, their main business is iron ore, pills, and herbs. They have branches in 8 cities in Azure Sun County. Pills and herbs? Jun Changshao asked, can they be compared to the AI family? Li Luoqiu shook her head, the Shao family is a martial arts family. They can't be compared to the AI family in terms of business. According to the information, most of the Shao family's pills and herbs are provided by the AI family. Is that so? Jun Changshao's lips curled into a smile. This was a good piece of information that could be used to make trouble. What about the iron ore? There's a mine 300 miles away from Liang City. It was discovered and mined by the Shao family. The iron ore comes from there. Jun Changshao rested his chin on the back of his hand and said, say, if the mine suddenly catches fire, floods, or accidentally collapses, will the Shao family suffer a loss? Li Luoqiu said, not only will it, but it will also be a huge loss. The Shao family's iron ore supplied 60% of the entire Azure Sun County's market. If it was gone, it would be a huge loss. Bring some people to the mine and create an accident, Jun Changshao said. Okay, Li Luoqiu said. Jun Changshao asked, there are miners in the mine, right? Yes. People from the Shao family? These kinds of laborers are usually hired from the neighboring villages. Jun Changshao said, when you take action, drive them out. Every injustice had its perpetrator and every debt its debtor. The Shao family had sent people to assassinate him time and time again. Naturally, he had to play with them until the end. However, he would never harm the innocent. This was the bottom line that he could uphold after adapting to the cruelty of the falling star continent. Understood. Li Luoqiu walked out of the study and shook her head. The Sect master's revenge methods are quite fancy. Shao family, you've provoked a devil. I'm afraid you'll suffer even more than the Grand Spirit Sect leader. Li Qingyang walked in and placed the sketch on the desk. This is the sketch I designed. What do you think? After returning to the Iron Bone, he began to cultivate while focusing on his modifications. Keep it for now. Jun Changshao said, when there are more disciples, we can carry out the modifications. Although he wasn't short of money, it wasn't a good idea to renovate it all the time. He should wait until there were more people. Li Qingyang kept the sketch and said, this is something that I designed on the spot. Since Sect leader is not in a hurry, I will go back and design it in detail. Jun Changshao patted him on the shoulder and said, if you don't practice martial arts, you can be a civil engineer. Civil engineer? Li Qingyang was puzzled. Sect leader, what kind of deputy position is this? Jun Changshao didn't explain to him and said, I have some matters to attend to in Huyang City, so I'll leave the Sect to you. Yes. Our great genius Li was already used to it. Before leaving, Jun Changshao spent 20 contribution points to buy 2 basic cold-edge swords and gave them to Yi Xingqian and Li Fei as a reward for Haoqi Sect's victory. Then, they set off for Liang City. Since he knew that the Shao clan's main business was pills and herbs, he would feel uncomfortable if he didn't do something. I finally have a sword. Yi Xingqian held the basic cold-edge sword. After feeling the chill and sharpness, he said with satisfaction, the quality of this sword should be middle grade. I can make do with it for now. Even a martial artist might not have a middle grade weapon. Knight Emperor only used make do to describe it. If others heard this, they would definitely beat him up. Phew. Walking to the small practice field in the inner courtyard, Yi Xingqian let out a long breath. He put one hand on the sword hilt and stared straight ahead. Zhou Hong looked over and whispered, Senior brother Yi also knows swords. Clang, suddenly, the cold-edged sword was unsheathed. Sword shadows spread out and intertwined into more than 10. Zhou Hong said, 10 swords in one breath. Not bad. Clang. Yi Xingqian sheathed his sword and formed the sword again. He silently recited the single-word fast technique. Still want to try? Zhou Hong thought. Clang. Yi Xingqian unsheathed his sword again. Clang. The sword was sheathed. Seeing the sword shadows disappear like fireworks, Zhou Hong exclaimed, 24 swords in one breath. No. No. This was definitely not his own sword intent. It was definitely some kind of sword technique. Zhou Hong hurriedly said, Senior brother Yi, you used a sword technique just now. Yes. Yi Xingqian said. Zhou Hong exclaimed, what kind of sword technique is this? It can make Senior brother Yi use 10 swords in one breath to 24 swords. Yi Xingqian said calmly, the divine sword technique. The sect leader gave it to me. The sect leader gave it to him? Could it be the sect's sword technique? Zhou Hong, who was always calm and introverted, was a little excited. He went to find the sect leader without practicing his sword. When he found out that the sect leader went to Huyang City, he sat in the courtyard and waited. He was really a sword fanatic. Every time Jun Changshao went down the mountain and entered a city, he had a different feeling. This time, when he came to Huyang City, he felt even more obvious. When he entered, the passers-by looked at him with admiration. Why? Because the incident of Haoqi's sect being destroyed had already spread throughout Azure Sun County. It caused a huge commotion and was definitely on the level of an earthquake. Take Liang City for example. The Xiao clan offended someone and the Qingye residence was burned down. It was only for a short while before it was suppressed by the Iron Bone sect. The most famous sect in Azure Sun County? The Iron Bone sect. The most famous person in Azure Sun County? Jun Changshao. From Earth's perspective, sect leader Jun was definitely an internet celebrity. No. He was a top celebrity. If there was a social media platform in Falling Star Continent, he could attract countless fans just in Azure Sun County. Wow! Sect leader Jun is so handsome. On the way to the medicine store, the young girls saw the handsome Jun Changshao and immediately lowered their heads shyly. Their hearts were beating wildly and they almost screamed on the spot. Sect leader Jun, a young girl who was more bold and unrestrained, suddenly rushed over and handed over a bouquet of flowers. Her small face was red with shyness as she said, "Please, please accept it." Jun Changshao took the flowers and gave her a side attack. He smiled gently and said, "Thank you." "Ah! I can't take it anymore." The young girl in the distance saw this and her eyelids rolled back. She fainted on the spot. The young girl who delivered the flowers covered her burning face and ran away shyly. She was afraid that if she got too close to him, she wouldn't be able to control herself and faint. Sect leader Jun, this is my flower. Sect leader Jun, I have one too. Sect leader Jun, can you sign an autograph for me? Sect leader Jun, can I hug you? A group of beautiful young girls surrounded Jun Xia in an instant, and presented him with fresh flowers. The scene was spectacular. Ahaha, in the inner gate of Huyang City, Jun Changshao was squatting in a corner of the tunnel. He was grinning foolishly and his saliva was almost flowing out. The cultivators passing by looked over and whispered. What's wrong with sect leader Jun? He's been squatting there since he came in. I think he's thinking about something happy. No matter how happy he is, he doesn't need to smile so wretchedly.